now live across all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, looking in the comments, yeah, I think you figured it out by now, Tim. Easy, you got to let me know what you believe I've figured out. But Trump has challenged MLK Day. So, we're going to talk about this. There's a host of topics. You guys know I was on vacation out on the West Coast. So, I just got back last night. So, listen, just because you're not talking to the folks don't mean that the Trump administration is not pumping out chaos. And it's been busy. It's been a busy time. I did one live while I was out on the West Coast, but it's been busy. The news don't stop in the Trump administration, which is, by the way, what the reason why a lot of people like Trump is that there's always something going on with President Trump. Handsome conservative says, you know what I'm going to say, support your local liberal. Conservative, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. You've been very supportive to the program, the handsome conservative. Sincere thanks to you. So we're going to get into the show because I got a host of topics. I want to go ahead and kick this off immediately, not immediately, immediately. Well, first of all, you see MLK's photo up next to Trump, titled Trump Talk, because this is something that President Trump recently stated during an interview with the New York Times. He stated that the Civil Rights Act was very harmful to white people. That's obviously going to be controversial. But I do want to talk to you folks. Maybe some of you actually agree with President Trump. We'll certainly tackle that as well. By the way, he's not the only well-known individual to state that. Charlie Kirk also said that. The late Charlie Kirk also is one that suggested that the Civil Rights Act not only hurt white people, but I believe Charlie Kirk referred to it as a mistake in general. So I want to hear from you folks in regards to, do you think what President Trump is saying has some accuracy to it? The Civil Rights Act was harmful to, very harmful to many white people. And I would let her know how you believe that culminated. How was it harmful to white people? In the comments, Chuck Farley Kirk. I think I know what he's trying to say with the deliberate mispronunciation, but he says Chuck Farley Kirk. Wow. Anyway, tap the screen. I'm going to get into the other couple of topics, and we'll certainly start taking callers momentarily. I guess I would ask in regards to what President Trump is saying about the Civil Rights Act, because I got conservative content creators that I've been mimicking now, because I got one creator that said Charlie Kirk was a shitty person, and the only thing he did of any significance is got people an additional day off work. So make no mistake about it, despite how long MLK Day has been a holiday, it's becoming increasingly unpopular, increasingly controversial for some strange reason. As I stated, throughout my 50 years, I don't remember a time when MLK Day was not celebrated. And I don't ever remember it being so controversial as it is becoming now. So I want to talk to you folks today. In addition to that, President Trump, this is where the Trump derangement syndrome comes from. People say you got Trump derangement because he's always doing something that you have to talk about. There's nobody more. You remember the Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting man in the world? I gotta say that could be Trump. That absolutely could be Trump. He is the most interesting president we've ever had. Whether you like him or not, he keeps the topics incredibly interesting. This is a letter he sent to the Prime Minister of Norway. You've probably heard this because this too is all over the damn news. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. And he continues by saying Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I guess he doesn't really know the story of Christopher Columbus arriving here by boat as well. Finally, he says, I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. What has President Trump done for NATO that he is personally taking credit for? I definitely want to hear that from some of my beloved Trump supporters, some of my beloved MAGA. You always like to talk to MAGA. We always respect your opinion, left or right, doesn't matter. But he says, I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. What has Trump specifically done? I mean, to the point where he's done so much for NATO that he wants them to repay him by giving him one of NATO's countries. What has he done for NATO of that significance? Wow. So we do want to talk about that. This is a letter President Trump sent to the Prime Minister of Norway, indicating essentially that since you guys didn't give me the damn Nobel Peace Prize, I don't feel, what is his words? I don't feel obligated to be peaceful anymore. So this is essentially an admission that the only reason why he was trying to be peaceful and stop wars is he wanted the damn prize. I mean, he's pretty much put that in writing. Since you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. It was a quid pro quo. That's his own words. I think it's kind of hard to dispute after him saying that. So I guess I would ask you folks, is he indicating that not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize is the reason we're taking Greenland? Because why does taking Greenland and not getting the Nobel Peace Prize even happen to appear in the same letter? Is that what we're doing? Because he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, then he's going to take Greenland out of outrage. And I want to ask all of you folks, because his last sentence says the world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. The world. I want to ask you folks, do you indeed agree with President Trump that if we have total and complete control of Greenland, the world, not the United States, but the world, that could be Mexico, that could be Russia, that could be China, that could be South Korea, the whole world is safer if we have total and complete control of Greenland? Or is this about something else in regards to this Nobel Peace Prize? Could it be about what's on the screen there? That is another recipient, a little bit over a decade ago, another recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. Could it be about that? We're going to talk about that. And last but not least, before we get to the program, as I said, there's a lot of topics here, so I expect this to be a hell of a show. Minnesota. I didn't even decide to bring up any more slides to this because Minnesota is an ongoing issue. But I just want to ask you folks, do you believe the cost of what is taking place in Minnesota is worth it to the taxpayers? Remember, this was originally about Somali fraud, and it has essentially morphed into something totally, I mean, you don't even hear about the Somalis from the Trump administration anymore. He sent in 2,000 ICE agents, which is over 3 times the size of the Minneapolis police force. Once all of the melee broke out, including the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, he increased it by sending another 1,000 ICE agents, totaling 3,000. Now we're talking almost 5 times the size of the local police force. And of course, now he's suggesting that he might either impose the Insurrection Act or send another 1,500 troops from the U.S. military. Now, all of these individuals have to stay in hotels. They're burning fuel. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Is the cost of all of this worth it? I want to ask you folks, what is the goal of what's going on in Minnesota? What is considered a successful outcome? What is President Trump and the Trump administration attempting to accomplish in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, in the Twin Cities area? I do want to hear from you folks. So that is our topics for today. There's likely more going to spawn off because the Trump administration is so busy running this country and creating more controversy. But I do want to talk to you folks about all three of these topics, particularly the suggestion that the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people. And before we start the show off, I just want to play a clip that I found to be interesting. This is maybe a minute long. You've all heard the show. I don't know if my computer's going to do it. So we may have to postpone that until my damn computer catches up. So looking in the comments though, Blackstock Design says in 2025, NATO allies agreed to significantly increase military spending with pledges to raise defense spending towards higher percentages of GDP. This push was widely attributed to Trump's pressure. That is true, but that's not doing a damn thing for NATO. You threaten NATO, so they increased their military spending. We didn't attribute anything to that. In fact, it saved us money. So I don't know how Trump suggested by doing that, he's done so much for NATO. I'm asking that question, but this is what I wanted you guys to hear from The View of all places.
In a recent interview with the New York Times, you know who claims that there's a downside to the Civil Rights Act. He says, and I quote, "White people were very badly treated." Where they did extremely well. And they were not invited to go into a university or a college. And under his administration, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission says there could be reparations for this discrimination. He got jokes.
There's a little bit more to this, but there a little bit of laughter, obviously. We don't normally play clips from The View, but this one, okay, we'll play it this time.
Take a look at this clip.
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees.
Okay.
So this is my question. When did it all go downhill for white?
So I want to ask you folks, do you see validity in that? Now he's talking about reparations. So apparently the Trump administration, and I'm trying to get some water here, the Trump administration does have a stomach for reparations. So, you've been hearing about reparations for a long time, and apparently we finally found an avenue where the Trump administration does indeed have a stomach for reparations. So looking in the comments right quick, tap the screen, get us up to 20,000. We'll certainly take the first caller. The old man got JD's picture and Trump picture like JFK and MLK. Wow, my grandmother used to have that. That's a good point. He's suggesting that the photos I have behind me of JD Vance and President Trump are kind of like having MLK and JFK's photo. That's something that you got to be probably Gen X to remember. That was a big thing among Black households because obviously JFK and MLK worked together to give Blacks the Civil Rights Act. And that was something most black households had a photo of. Both MLK and JFK. I remember that being in my grandmother's house. Anyway, let me go straight to the comments. That's a really great blast from the past. I do remember that. Going straight to the box, we'll start it out with Miss Mo Betta. Good afternoon, or better yet, good evening. Good evening to you.
Did you win us some money over there?
No, Vegas ain't very generous.
You didn't win us any money in the baseball. So
but I may go back soon. No, I enjoy myself though, so I may go back soon. So you heard the topic. So Trump is suggesting that the Civil Rights Act by Martin Luther King was very harmful to whites. What say you?
I would like to know the proof of that. Give me an example of how white men were badly treated.
Well,
see, that's the thing, Tim. Nobody ever gets into the question after the statement. They allow him to bloviate, and then they never follow up with a question like, what do you mean? They never ask him to give any examples of the things that he says.
No, but there's clarity. Let me give you there's some clarity on it. The suggestion is that qualified white men could not get into colleges and universities, likely due to DEI. They're going to claim DEI or affirmative action made it so that people.
He's just saying his stuff, Tim. You still can't prove none of that stuff. He still has no evidence of any of that happening.
Well,
but he knows controversy. His cult members buy into controversy when it comes to him. They don't need any proof. They just going to follow him blindly.
So then I have to ask, if you think that there's no evidence, then why do you think Trump is suggesting that the Civil Rights Act was harmful? Why would he suggest it?
What did I just say? First of all, he feels threatened by the black people that are actually empowered right now, that are in any kind of office.
Shit, who are they? What black people are? What blacks are empowered?
Not power and position. I'm not going to say power because we don't hold any power. This is why when we speak about racism, that black people can't inherently be racist. We prejudice, yes. Racist.
I don't buy. I do not agree with that. I definitely believe blacks can be racist.
And that's exactly why I said it to you. I know you don't. However, he's threatened by anybody of color. He's threatened by it. But now that he feels that he got a whole hard on for Obama. Why do you think he's after that? Why do you think he's after that Nobel Peace Prize so hard? Because Obama got it.
Well, listen, as opposed
anything that Obama left in place for him to run the country, and he dismantled all of that because he didn't like Obama.
Wait a minute. As opposed to Trump having a hard on, as you say, or not liking Obama, what about the notion that President Trump is simply a competitive guy and he wants to best Obama? He wants more awards, more achievements, more accomplishments than Obama.
Even with all the people that didn't like Obama, the country still wasn't as divided as it is now under Trump.
Wait, repeat that.
Even with as many people that don't like Obama, the country was not as divided as it is under Trump.
I get a lot of viewers, Ms. Mobetta, that suggest that all of this division started under Obama.
No, you know what started under, like I told you before, and this is my story and I'm sticking to it. He's like a rock that fell into the snake pit. And when he became president, those old Joes down there feel, what has this country come to? We got a nigga running the country.
But you do realize that without whites, Obama would not have won. I mean, whites
that's not the point. They're just little peon voters. We talking about people that are in position. Why do you think they allowed Trump to run? It ain't the fact that he was qualified, because he wasn't. He had no political experience, none of that going on, and they still allowed him to be president because they know he's a fool.
You think Trump
was the actual fool?
You're suggesting that Trump had no qualifications to become president?
No, he didn't.
Name me
outside of him having money. Name it.
Well, first of all, I would submit to you that he had a hell of a lot more qualifications on paper than Barack Obama. Obama was a community.
Obama was a whole senator. Tim, what are you
He was a senator for 2 years, and he was running for president most of that time.
And he still had more. qualifications than Trump. What are you talking about?
Outside of being a senator, what other qualifications did Obama have?
And he's an attorney also. What are you saying?
Oh, Trump ran a hell of a lot of businesses throughout his day. Not all of them successfully. Not all of them successfully, but
you can run a business. I can run a business.
No, he didn't
do that.
He didn't run the local 7-Eleven, Miss Mobetta. He ran big businesses.
And ran them right into the fucking ground, too. Ran them right into the ground.
But you're gonna tell me that you really believe
I feel violated that you even said that. I'm not whole violation.
I'm not fluffing. I am actually not fluffing. I'll tell you one thing. Kamala Harris, despite the lack of support for her by a lot of she has qualifications. Now, even though she was not a good candidate because she didn't orate to the people like Trump and Obama were really good at, but Kamala Harris on paper actually is very qualified. But Obama, not so much. I don't see how you don't see that.
He's a lot more qualified than Trump. My story, and I'm sticking to it.
So all of Trump's businesses he ran,
Trump had no ties to any kind, no kind of political factors, which you need. He knows nothing about the law, which he don't.
Okay.
He still don't.
You're excluding the fact that Trump had met half of the world leaders on the planet as a businessman. He had businesses in many other countries. He was a diplomat without the actual credentials of politician behind him. He was doing all of that, and Obama was not.
That still doesn't mean he was qualified to run his country, Tim.
What is
you're still trying to give him credit where it's not due? I'm sorry.
I'm trying to figure out what is your. I'm trying to figure out what is your definition of a qualification because
I just named them to you. He had no political affiliations just because he was doing business. That's like you'll have a basketball player out there playing basketball. That still doesn't make him qualified to be a coach.
So he's at all of the He's at all the political meetings. I mean, he went to Bill and Hillary's wedding. I mean,
that's why he won't release those files too. So that business that he was handling with those people had nothing to do with running the country.
Okay,
there's a whole different caliber. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, I guess, and I'm genuinely not fluffing here. I'm suggesting that on paper, I don't see Obama having anywhere near Trump's qualifications. I just think both of them.
That's your opinion, and that is a fluff. I'm sorry. That means you just haven't paid attention to what Obama was doing. Even before, as a senator, you saying that he had no more qualifications than Trump as a businessman because he rubbed elbows with a bunch of people from another country. It's different, Tim.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe Bill Gates has qualifications to be a president?
No, he just got money too.
So you don't take in consideration a person who is a business person that's literally leading thousands of employees. You don't count any of that.
You know what happens when they go in there with the business mindset? It's all about self, Tim. It's not about people. It's not about others, nobody other than yourself. And that the proof is in the pudding that what we see in today.
Yeah.
Being a business person, their objective is I'm here to make money. Period.
Yeah, you and I kind of disagree here because obviously as a business person, yes, your objection is to make money, but you're also balancing budgets, something that's very important for a politician to do.
And where do you see the balance out here? Where?
No, but you're making it sound like having business acumen is essentially irrelevant to be a politician.
The executive branch do they handle the budget? Who handles the budget of this country? Congress.
Yeah, but you got to negotiate. You got to bring folks together. As a businessman, you're doing all of that stuff.
And how well is that going on now, Tim, with Trump?
I said his qualifications as
and it shows his actions show that he was not qualified amongst everything else.
Okay.
He has a degree that his father paid for. So what is you talking about? Oh, a businessman. Listen, if you start out with $400 million and you drop that ball, you'd be real dumb. You would be dumb.
So you don't give him credit for it.
Acting like he started from the bottom, getting his hands dirty to get to where he is. He's still stealing.
I don't know. I'm not going to say whether he's stealing or not. But what I'm suggesting is he accomplished a hell of a lot in the city of New York, getting ice skating rinks built quicker than expected. I mean,
and now he can't even do business here in New York.
You gotta work with the mob and the unions to get projects done that others might. He was able to negotiate all of that stuff. No, you don't see nothing in that at all.
No. And not all money is good money, Tim. Sorry.
I don't disagree with that, but you sure?
That's a hard no.
You sure you're not just criticizing the guy because you don't like him?
No, Tim. Where's your morals, Tim?
So you got to do it.
You're going to make me go on gangster grammar. Listen, all of that stuff plays a part when it comes to me and giving people credit. He still hasn't done anything for me.
He hasn't done anything.
Even if I take all of that other stuff away, what has he done for me?
Sounds like a song
as an American citizen.
Sounds like a song by Janet Jackson. No, I agree. Me personally, I don't favor anything he's done for me either. I'm talking about qualifications before becoming president of Trump versus Obama. Now, after he got in, compared to Obama getting in, yeah, I believe that Obama accomplished more so far than Trump has. But I do believe on paper,
and he was still more qualified when he entered.
I don't believe that. I disagree with that.
He's more qualified. He's more dignified. More class. He was just more. Period. And I was trying not to even go there. I was trying to leave that part out of it.
He was just more. Period. Walk softly and carry a big stick. In the comments, the handsome conservative says, "I want my reparations." Do you see how dumb that sounds? What about the notion that Trump is indicating that he would at least be open to giving reparations to white people? What say you?
That shit is so asinine. And I still prove to me where white men were discriminated against because of a DEI program, and I will surrender to it. I will surrender to it, Tim, because I haven't seen it. I in my 52 years of living, I've seen it nowhere.
Well, let's be clear. If you have affirmative action where you have to hire a certain percentage of, let's say, blacks or minorities in a business, and let's say you're hiring 100 people, and affirmative action requires at least 20 of them represent the minority community. If you got 90 qualified white guys show up, some of them are going to get turned away due to affirmative action. So it is possible it could happen.
What do they want to do? Hire no black people at all? So is that what they want to happen?
That's what used to take place.
What are they saying here?
There may be something to that, but what I'm suggesting is there are going to be some white guys that are qualified getting turned away. That's the argument.
There was other people that were more qualified than them that were white and got hired over them. Are they mad at that? Like, it just makes no sense, Tim. You can't even make sense out of it. It's stupid. It's stupid and it's a lie. It's a lie. And I'm calling it a lie because they cannot prove it to anybody in this world that's happened here.
Well, you're going to have...
White people, period, have been the beneficiary of these here United States of America. Yeah. Let's knock it off. Come on.
I'm just having a conversation here.
No, I get it. And I'm not yelling at you about it. You know I get passionate and I do talk loud. So,
nothing wrong with that.
It is what it is.
Nothing wrong with that. So what do you think in regards to this letter to the Prime Minister of Norway suggesting that, well, since you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I don't feel any obligation to be peaceful.
Look, when I said I tell you I laughed so goddamn hard at that. It was like that letter that Calvin wrote on Little Man. I wasn't able, and he spelled everything wrong. I wasn't able to take care of my son. Like, come on, bro. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But first of all, you went around begging for the goddamn Nobel Peace Prize. Nobody, they didn't give it to you. Get over it. Like y'all tell everybody else. Get over it. You didn't get it. Then you went and, like you said, what's quid pro quo with this lady? So she like.
You're talking about Maria.
I feel bad. You can have my sandwich.
You're talking about the woman that wants to head Venezuela giving Trump her Nobel Peace Prize.
And you're talking about getting welfare and all kinds of stuff like that. And here you took a hand-me-down medal.
How about this though? Mr. Wise Guy, in regards to reparations, he says in the comments, if President Trump can get this done for white people, then fuck it. I'm with this shit. So go ahead.
Well, of course. And I'm sure he's white. Whoever said that is white. They would totally benefit from it like they've been benefiting from everything else. Yeah. And the only reason why there's a big separation, which is a history lesson and stuff like that when it came to DEI and all kinds of stuff like that. They wanted to separate the rich from the poor. And unfortunately, there's white folks that are poor that don't have, but that doesn't mean their privilege is not available.
Well, Trump may be trying to change that poverty thing.
I'm sure.
If he can roll back time, to quote Cher, if he can turn back time, it might benefit some of those poor whites. In the comments, Joel says Trump is the biggest movement since Martin Luther King. Do you see that? The MAGA movement? Because remember, Trump suggested he had more folks in his inauguration crowd than the I Have a Dream speech.
There are different directions. When you say movement, there's forward movement and there's backwards. And all I see is the backward movement. So you're right. It is the biggest movement since MLK days. Backwards.
What if moving backwards makes America great again?
To who?
To whoever created the hat, to the creators of the hat.
The white guys that are being discriminated against, that somebody else is taking their job? Come on, Tim.
Well, but do you have any sympathy at all for a white guy that does feel the system is kind of hard on him?
How, Tim? Listen, if they give me the context, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen, but you can't just tell me that you've been discriminated against and all kinds of stuff and with no kind of solid facts, with no kind of evidence, with no kind of proof, no kind of examples. None of that stuff is present, Tim.
Well, I'm assuming you're going to have a few talented people come out of the woodwork and suggest that because of affirmative action, Delta Airlines wouldn't take me as a pilot. That's what Charlie Kirk was talking about, or I couldn't be a professor at a school. By the way, in the comments, Berserk263 says she sounds kind of dumb. Apparently, he's not a fan of yours, but
no, not as dumb as his mother is for not swallowing his ass.
Oh my God!
Shut the fuck up. Now, sound that dumb. Call me some dumb, ghetto, whatever. Call whatever.
Well, you bring out the most friendliest comments from my viewers.
I do, and I make time for them. I when I come on here, I make time for them because I know they out. Do they know that the name of MAGA equals fool? It's a Nigerian name for fool.
I've heard that. I've heard.
So do they know that?
So the word MAGA in Nigerian means fool.
It means fool. Yep.
Okay, but what about Trump stating that he's done more for NATO than anybody else?
Again, that's what bloviating means, Tim. He's up there talking, saying a lot of things, and without proof of backing up anything.
Keep in mind,
what has he done for NATO? Exactly what has he done?
I don't have an answer for that. I would like to fluff if I could. I don't know what President Trump has done for NATO, but he is taking credit for doing something, and apparently it's significant.
He keeps talking about the money he gave to HBCUs and all of that stuff. Let me tell you something. Every president does that. That's nothing exclusive to him. Number two, he didn't want to give it to HBC. He didn't give it to HBCU. Somebody else did. What he was doing was giving it to other universities where Black people were enrolled. He wasn't giving it to the HBCUs. So people need to start researching stuff. When he says stuff, you got to fact check everything that comes out of his mouth, even if he tell you what time it is. You better go check a clock.
Well, listen, all politicians are capable of telling an occasional fib. So
That we all can lie. Listen, that's a human thing. We are all
Population,
liable to lie. We are susceptible to telling lies and all of that stuff. But when you're held in a higher position, when you have other people's lives in your hand, the standard changes. The expectation changes. All of that stuff. You are held to a higher standard because you're not just representing yourself. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not like that with him. He's about representing himself to the point where he doesn't even care about the law. There's no checks and balances with him.
Well, what about, I want to give you, before I move it on from you, I want you to hear something he said. This is not very recent, but it goes in accordance to what we're talking about.
And I say it openly. I did more for our black population than anybody other than Abraham Lincoln. Okay? And nobody's even close. What I did.
No one close.
What is he talking about, though? Exactly what did he do for the black population? What? Listen, I can't give you credit for something that I don't know what you're talking about. Just because you said that doesn't mean that it actually happened. What did he do for my population?
I don't know, but that's a tall order to throw out there. Because that is one that I'm kind of baffled. I mean, because you're talking about you're right under the guy that gave blacks freedom. You're right under that guy.
So. And the crazy thing is, the first thing he did was come in here and cut DEI programs, and guess whose jobs that affected? Black people.
Bro, I gotta go, but maybe one thing.
300,000 in just in the first quarter of the year.
Bro, I gotta go, but one thing I'll give you, he gave us Charlie Kirk. So maybe perhaps that's it.
Now, listen, they better go find out who did it, because the one they got locked up did. I'm trying to tell you now, he was the sacrificial lamb for them.
Tyler Robinson, you sound like you've been listening to Candace Owens. I gotta go, Miss Mo Better.
I don't like that hoe either.
I gotta go. Thank you, Mr. Mo Better. By the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 40,000. We can certainly make that happen if you let your thumbs not be lazy. Help your boy get that TikTok cap goal. It helps out the program, show the program some support. I'm still, hang on a second, this damn camera. I'm still dancing on his headstone. You're not a fan of Charlie Kirk, I take it. We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame, says another viewer. Well, Charlie Kirk has been immortalized upon his assassination. Looking in the comments real quick. Wow, somebody said Charlie Kirk was killed by the J people. I don't even want to say it for fear of censorship. The J people over in Israel. Please educate yourself, sir, and don't believe everything that comes out of the mouth of this pathological liar. Says one of the viewers. So tap the screen, get us up to 40,000. We'll take the next caller. Looking in the comments, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. By the way, if you guys enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, feel free to follow the program if you're watching us live right now on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. If you're watching live on YouTube, give us a sub. We're here most weekdays. We are MAGA friendly. Been that way since day one. Always have, always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. This is uncensored programming. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We don't have a moderator on this program. It's all about free speech. Thank you for that, C. Osby. President Trump favors that. Thank you for the TikTok cap. Yep, DEI only benefits those who are not qualified for the job, says Crypto Keeper. I want to really quick go into that since while you guys are getting me on the way to 40,000. DEI does not just benefit folks who are not qualified, as in DEI stands for didn't earn it. I'll give you an example. I use this all the time. Let's say I need 5 qualified carpenters to come do some work at my home. But I happen to live in an all-white neighborhood. So don't send me 5 brothers to my house because I don't want people calling the police and all kinds of drama. I don't contact your contracting company Send me 5 of your white guys. I just want to make sure no dramas in the neighborhood. So when people see them coming in and out of the house in a truck, nobody's calling the cops or doing anything. So I need 5 guys to remodel my kitchen or bathroom or what the hell ever. But make sure they're all white. You're going to tell me that if they send 5 white guys, the white guys are not qualified? They can't find any qualified white guys. Huh? I asked specifically for white guys. And because I'm choosing based on the color, none of them are qualified. I don't buy that. I submit to you, you can find 5 white carpenters that are all qualified. I don't know why when it comes to finding African Americans or Hispanics, suddenly the notion is that they ain't qualified. You can actually have DEI and still find qualified people to make it happen. This is why we push back against Charlie Kirk's comment in regards to pilots. If I see a black pilot, I think, I question the qualification, because his comment, I believe it was either Delta, one of the 3 national airlines was seeking to diversify their workforce. This came out in 2021, and they wanted to have it completed by 2030. So when Charlie Kirk made that statement, it was not even complete yet. So the idea is, if I give you 9 years as a black person, as a Hispanic, as a woman, as a member of the LGBTQ community, can I train someone who has no aeronautical knowledge to fly a commercial airliner in 9 years? I submit to you, you can easily do that. If you got a person that's dedicated to learning the skill, you can easily do it. So I don't know what Charlie Kirk was talking about. I really don't. But I did a long form video on it. I played the whole clip because people were saying he wasn't taken in context. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel titled Charlie Kirk in Full Context, like 18 minutes long. I have no clue why he said that. And in my opinion, it does sound like somebody or language from somebody who is intolerant, because everything about the debate, I played a full debate of him saying it, why he said it, it makes no sense. You can find qualified people of color, qualified people in the LGBTQ community, qualified Hispanics, qualified Asians in any field if you give it enough time. Anyway, look at in the comments, or better going back to the box, DEI wasn't a problem because they were required to hire even if they were not qualified to hit numbers. I'd have to see evidence of that. You're going to tell me that in a country where the overwhelming majority of our air crashes, air mishaps among commercial airliners were orchestrated by white males, that they were hiring unqualified black people? Is that what we're to believe? That when you look at the numbers, there's virtually hardly anybody of color that's been involved in a major air crash at the helm that was a pilot or a co-pilot. It's almost all white guys. But yet the unqualified people that's flying these planes are black. And that makes sense somehow. Let me go back to the box. We'll continue on with Jeremy. Good evening. Where are you from I'm a carpenter. I'm from Chicago. You tell me I can't find 5 white qualified carpenters in Chicago, 5 Hispanic qualified carpenters in Chicago, 5 black qualified carpenters in Chicago, 5 Asians? Can't find it all, huh? Jeremy, good evening.
How you doing, Tim? It's good to see you.
And good to see you again, too. President Trump is suggesting that the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, and perhaps they should be given reparations due to it. What say you?
Well, before we go and talk about that, I did want to ask, you seem to be taking it back when I made the joke where I called you my ninja the last time.
I don't want to talk about that shit. That's old news, man. The audience took an issue with it. I don't give a shit about that.
But you don't care? Okay. Because I didn't want, because I could care less what other people say, but like if I made you feel uncomfortable, man, that's what I care about.
Okay. Well, listen, you're going to make people feel uncomfortable in general. Now you're Colombian, right?
Yeah, I'm Colombian.
Okay, so you're not fully considered as a white guy, but when you start indicating that you're calling a black man the N-word, yeah, people are going to take odds at that.
All right. Well, I won't use that again anymore.
Okay.
Just because it depends on who you're with. I think some people will just laugh, but I don't want to say something that I know you wouldn't like.
Yeah. And in the comments, real quick, Straight Talk Commerce says, so what is it? Any N-word now? Well, calling a black man a ninja is equivalent to saying, let's go, Brandon. People know what you're talking about. That's why people know what it means. So, but go ahead. Now, so Martin Luther King, the Civil Rights Act being erroneous, being harmful to whites. What say you?
So it's been a while since I've looked into this topic. I know Charlie Kirk had a bit of a problem with it, and I tend to agree with a lot of what Charlie says, but there are things that I don't agree with him. Last time I checked, I think there was something to do with colleges and the unequal applications. And look, I understand that in a way it's going to be naturally a little bit harder for black people to get into colleges because they just make up a smaller percentage of the population. And
well, but let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you and say this. Before the Civil Rights Act, which Charlie Kirk suggests was a mistake and Trump suggests was harmful to white people, a large portion of the colleges in this country did not admit blacks, period. So if you were a white person with low SAT scores or low entry scores, you still would get in over a black person. Is that not some form of DEI in terms of entrance?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think DEI is good in either direction. I think that, in fact, here's the thing. I think they should have colorblind applications where they don't even look at the name. They look at a number. They assign a number, so that way you can't even guess it based on someone's name.
I like that, but the problem is people are always going to find a way to cheat. I mean, whether you can go by somebody's zip code. There's different things you can do to deduce the likelihood that a person is a individual of color or they're white. I mean, and they'll find ways to do that. I mean, where did you pick these applications up at? I mean, they're gonna find some kind of way to tell what zip code was postmarked on this one, and they'll use that information to figure out what race you are.
Yeah, but I mean, the more you take away the ability for them to do that, the more it will just take extra work for them to do that. And I think the majority, I don't think we're nearly as racist as we used to be a long time ago as a country. I really don't think so. And I think that you'd have to have no life if you were willing to put in all the work to find out. Oh, it's was this from a black guy?
Shit, no life. No life. You realize how much money you could make from the alumni and friends at a school? If the alumni wants this school to remain white, to represent our love, our bloodline, our heritage, there are people that would pay you tons of money to make sure that school stays white.
I don't think so. I think that they'll definitely want you to get their. I'm sure George Bush's kids will get in really easily. He was at whatever college he went to because that'll make the college look good to have a continuous amount of people going to that particular college. But that's more like favoritism amongst your own family. That's not so much favoritism amongst a specific race.
Well, I'm just simply saying a lot of people are willing to spend money to maintain the status of their alma mater. A lot of people will spend money for that. So if you got a guy whose job it is to make sure someone's alumni remains white or, continues to remain diverse, or there are plenty of graduating students that are doing well for themselves that will donate money to that.
I think there's some level of that. I think that I really think the alma mater is more impressive if you have somebody who is an impressive person by themselves.
Yeah.
For instance, I think they'll care much more about Elon Musk kids getting into whatever school that they went into because Elon Musk is an impressive person, although he's very flawed, versus someone who just has a lot of money.
Right.
I got to disagree with you. I mean, I've seen how folks care about their alma mater way too much for us to be on the same page on this. Real quick in the comments, though, Junebug says work ethic has nothing to do with race. Trump brings up a fuck ton of racial issues for someone who claims not to be racist. It's all bullshit. Do you agree with the viewer? The viewer says Trump brings up a fuck ton of racial issues and also claims to not be racist. Do you see any validity in that?
Well, I think in a way that's a misunderstanding. I think that it's perfectly valid to say, well, people in this community who choose to be around each other are behaving in a certain way that is encouraged by their culture. But that's not race, that's culture. So like black people tend to hang around other black people, and if the culture around them tells them that it's okay to be aggressive and violent and to not treat things like
we hear that with black fatigue, and you see that anytime blacks are seen online mob robbing a store or something, they say it's in their culture. Black, what's in white culture?
Well, there's a lot less of that in white culture. I know it's not popular to say, but I care more about.
No, I'm asking you what is, though. You can tell me what there's a lot less of, but what is there more of?
High trust societies.
High trust societies. Elaborate. What do you mean?
Okay, so low trust societies are ones where you can't do anything without fear of being robbed, fear of someone doing something bad. You see this a lot. You see this. You see a lot of this. You see, Tim.
Go ahead. I'm listening. I just can't believe you said that, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, so let's say you have the opposite, a high trust society. Japan is a very high trust society. I'm sure you've been to Japan before, haven't you?
No, I have not been to Japan.
Oh, I'm surprised. You lived in Australia for a while.
Yeah, Australia is a high trust society as well. It's very safe there.
Yes, and the thing is, it's very common to leave your stuff at your table, and for people to get mad if you turn it into the lost and found because they think you're robbing them because it's so normal to not have anyone.
Yeah, but you guys are the same ones, and I'm saying you guys, I mean in regards to MAGA. You're the same ones that said Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on earth. That is full of white people. That is not a high trust society. Neither is Russia and many Eastern European countries. Those are not high trust societies, are they?
Not anymore. They used to be, but after the advent of communism, again, culture, not race, has caused them to become a very low trust society. In communism, in order to survive, you have to be willing to fight it and do all sorts of crooked things to get by, because communism takes away so much of your ability to actually make money and to actually feed your family.
So when you say whites, their culture is high trust, do you believe that they have represented themselves as a trustworthy culture to, let's say, the likes of the Native Americans, African Americans, and many other cultures they've encountered? Are they the culture that other folks can trust?
Within their own identity group, probably. You see this also a lot with Hasidic Jews. However, anybody can become savage and do evil things of any race. We saw this many times with the way that.
What do you mean by when you say? What do you mean by when you say within their group? When whites came to this land, were they a trustworthy group?
To each other, but not to the Native Americans. They were a lot of them were very cruel to a lot of natives. That's undeniable, and to a lot of blacks who they brought over as slaves. I don't want to ever lower the negative.
You were coming close to doing that, suggesting the audience. But I want to ask it to you this way: when we suggest that thuggery, for instance, or theft is part of black culture, how do you respond to some folks who may say colonization, grape, or racism is part of white culture?
I would say it was for a long time, and I think that unfortunately it's still around in Muslim culture. But
we're talking about taking Greenland right now as we speak. When did it end?
Well, Trump is kind of an idiot, and a lot of people are very angry at Trump, and it's really only MAGA that's really supporting it now. They're kind of like, no, Trump, stop, please stop. You're making us look stupid.
But you do realize that racism and colonization is not just unique to whites in America. Whites all over Europe have been involved in doing that, and we can talk about when it ended, if it ended at all.
Yeah, but it's also not unique to whites either. Arabs do.
Neither is thuggery to blacks. It ain't unique to blacks either, but we're saying it's in their culture. We're saying because we see a lot of blacks doing thuggish shit, it's in their culture. So what should we say if we see a lot of whites doing racist shit?
Call them out.
So it's part of their culture then.
But I don't think it is as much. I don't think it happens nearly as much in white cultures as it used to. Now it was much more common back in the day, but it's not nearly as common anymore.
Here's what I don't get. African Americans in this country, if you go back to the 40s and 50s, they were not known for a lot of thuggery. However, when it comes to racism from whites, it goes back to the very beginning of the founding of the country. I suppose you could suggest it ended around the civil rights era, but that's still going to be 200-300 years.
Yeah. That takes a long time. And if you look at the history of America, you can what?
You're not just saying it takes a long time. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Well, heavily ingrained beliefs take a long time to purge out of the people. Look at what happened for thousands of years. Well, not thousands, but hundreds of years with the Aztecs. Do you know what they used to do?
Tell me.
Human sacrifice. Yeah. They would actually open up the chest of somebody, of a still living person, and rip out their beating hearts and put it into a fire. And oftentimes, it was children. They did that too. Children of the Aztec elite.
Bro, I don't want to go too deep down the path of an Aztec. By the way, in the comments, Handsome Conservative says Charlie Kirk is the white man's Martin Luther King. Do you see any relevance to that?
Yeah.
No, blacks view a lot of accomplishments from Martin Luther King as things that have made our lives better, have given us civil rights, given us freedom. What has Charlie Kirk done for whites to put him in the same category? Jeremy, did I lose you? I don't know if we lost our caller. We may have to move on. I'd like to know from someone. All right, apparently Jeremy. Okay, what has Charlie Kirk done for whites to put him in the same category as Martin Luther King?
Well, he's done more for conservatism in general, but conservatives tend to be white more often. So I would say what he really did was he allowed for white people to feel like they could actually express a differing opinion, because it's not as politically correct to do that anymore.
So allowing you to express a different opinion puts you on the same level as what Martin Luther King has done for blacks, because you can express a difference of opinion, which I don't know if before Charlie Kirk they weren't already doing that. I don't know if Charlie Kirk suddenly granted whites freedom to speak. I don't know where you're getting that from, but you really think those two are on the same, they're on par with each other, MLK and Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, here's another reason why. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when you actually look at the type of people who Charlie Kirk was, and Martin Luther King was, I think everyone is flawed, but let's be honest, MLK had a lot of demons, a lot of them that he didn't really hold down.
Elaborate. Tell me about these demons. Elaborate.
He was a well-known adulterer. He was also physically violent. There was the FBI found out about that.
Wait. Physically violent. Other than the FBI, have we heard this from anyone else? Because I'm going to submit to you, the FBI during the time of MLK fighting for civil rights probably wasn't the most trustworthy organization in existence.
I understand that, but it's been largely it's like even like most
victims. Give me some victims. Who was Martin Luther King violent to?
Okay, so I believe that one of the women he was cheating on his wife with, he smacked around in a hotel room a few times. I forgot her exact name. But there's a few different people. Now it wasn't like he was like a serial unaliver, but he was abusive.
I have never heard this other than from a few folks on the right in modern times. I would love to see a source if Martin Luther King was indeed smacking around women. Now, I know he was a womanizer. I believe that is valid, but hell, we've elected that many times. So I don't know. All of a sudden, when Martin Luther King has a bunch of chicks, it's suddenly something to talk about. When we elected Kennedy, Clinton, and President Trump, I mean, we're okay with womanizing.
Yeah, I'm not personally okay with it. I chose Trump because I thought he was better than other candidates. But if JD Vance was actually directly running against him, I would have chosen Vance. And here's the thing about Charlie.
JD Vance was running against. What did JD Vance run? I thought he did run against Trump.
I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure he didn't primary him.
No, I said, wasn't he the one that said Trump is very Hitler-like?
No. Oh, that was way before he was chosen. Like that was like
that's when he was running against them.
I think that was all the way back in 2016.
Okay, but he did. You said you would have chose JD Vance if he ran against Trump. I believe that happened, didn't it?
I don't think it did, but also, I didn't vote for Trump the first time. I voted for him the second time.
Who'd you vote for the first time?
Ted Cruz.
Okay, fair enough. I gotta move it on, did you? All right, so last but not least, Trump is talking in regards to Norway that he's pissed off about not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, and he thinks he's done more for NATO than anybody else, and they should give him Greenland. What say you?
Nah, this is part of the reason why I'm not a Trump supporter anymore. He's gone completely off the rails. He needs to leave Greenland alone. I'll end by saying this, though, Tim, about Charlie Kirk. The one thing that I think the left hates about him more than anything wasn't that he said things that they disagree with, because there's plenty of people that they don't care about, that they wouldn't care about if they got assassinated the next day, and say all sorts of things they disagree with. The reason why they hate Charlie is because when they tried to look for skeletons in his closet, they couldn't find any.
I think some of the things he said are what represents the skeletons. Anytime you have to respond by saying you're taking them out of context, that's a skeleton. You're just not acknowledging it. People understand what they're hearing. You don't have millions of people taking shit out of context. Everybody can hear what is being said. If your only defense is they're taking it out of context, there's your skeleton. I got to move it on, Jeremy. Thanks for coming through.
You have a great one, Tim.
You too. Moving on. Damn voice is going out. Looking in the comments, his wife had the skeleton. You saying Charlie Kirk's wife had the skeletons? Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 60,000. Help your boy out with the TikTok cap. Go. Show your boy some love. Real quick in the comments. I don't know what I missed here. And thank you, Denkel, by the way. Charlie spoke out about something that was not the majority opinion. He talked about God. Wait. Charlie Kirk talked about God and his beliefs when it could and did lead to his death. Freedom of religion versus freedom of color. You really think Charlie Kirk speaking out about his love of God is something unusual? Really? I mean, Joe Biden went to church and made it clear he was religious, and so has a host of leaders. The Huckabees are very religious. Mike Huckabee, governor of Arkansas at one point, he is super religious. People been speaking out of their love of religion forever. That ain't something unique to Charlie Kirk. I don't know where he's getting some kind of special credit for that. I don't see that. This guy's laughing at the caller, but I feel like, let me read this again. This guy's laughing at the caller. He suggested I was laughing at my last call. He says, but I feel like, and the handsome liberal is still trying to hold on to the past, to where this guy realizes things have gotten better. I might be mistaken. I think you are. I would suggest that you are mistaken. We're not trying to hold on to the past, but we're going to acknowledge that the past was not in everyone's best interest. Moving on with the program, Denkel. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Denkel.
Good evening.
And thank you there, Blue One. Appreciate the TikTok cap. Thank you. A lot going on. Certainly you heard the talk about MLK, Trump suggesting that it hurt white people, hurt white men particularly. Any validity to that the Civil Rights Act has hurt white men?
The craziest part about this whole argument is that white men were the ones who came up with affirmative action because they understood that they had to basically try to incorporate Black people into the greater society. They did that, but they're making it seem like we did that to them. They said the only way to try to make it fair is to allow Black people opportunities where they would not, where they would not have had it in the past.
But you're talking about progressive white men. I think the people that are saying this are not progressives.
Right, but that's not our. They're blaming that shit on us. Like now they're saying that they get paid for some shit that they did to themselves.
That's a good point. That's a good point because in reality, Martin Luther King himself could not have passed the Civil Rights Act without the signature of white men. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson,
all white men, like literally all white men. Yeah. Like he was the only Black dude standing there, making the argument. So they said, in order to right a wrong that they know that they had perpetrated for hundreds of years, they said, how can we do it? They came up with affirmative action. They came up with DEI. They came up with these things to try to make society fair for everybody.
Well, the argument
is trying to say they're going to give themselves money because the shit they came up with ain't right.
It really sounds bad when you break it down like that, because you're absolutely correct. You're blaming Martin Luther King for the Civil Rights Act when he didn't sign shit. That is, but the thing about it is we're all going to sign this bill, sir. But I want you to understand, if it goes bad, we're going to blame you for bringing it up.
Right. So now they saying, oh, we've achieved everything that affirmative action was meant to achieve. We had a Black president. So that means all of their efforts were fruitful and they accomplished what they want to. Now they're trying to go back and say they never should have did none of it because it hurt them, which is like, I don't even, it's like an oxymoron. Like the conversation they're having, they got that lady that you played in that interview or whatever talking about. Yeah, if you've been affected by this, you may have
I mean, it sounds like, if you've been injured by asbestos, it really sounds like one of them kind of commercials. I mean, like, wow, and that was crazy. Let me see if I can find it, because I don't know if everybody heard that or not.
He said, come on and get your check, man.
Yeah, it really sounds like one of them crazy ass law commercials. Give me a second here.
That's clear.
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees.
That sounds.
Is that like Saturday Night Live type material? But she's serious as a heart attack. She's serious. She's saying, look, you got to remember the context around this stuff. When Trump became the president the second time, he got rid of all the civil rights officers in our government. So if you are Black and you have a case, or you had a case going on for racism against yourself as a Black person, they got rid of those officers. Now, what's remaining of those officers are now starting to process white cases of discrimination. You can't make this up, man.
So I guess I got to ask you the obvious question, which Trump has been pushing back on this since he became our commander-in-chief as the 45th president. Do you personally see President Trump as an intolerant person or as a racist?
Look, I struggle with this sometimes. I know that he says and does things that are racist in nature. But
examples. People want to know, what are you talking about?
Like the discrimination. He didn't want people to live in, his departments that they had. And, the case where, all of the people out on the floor at his casinos, all of the card dealers, when he was going to be coming there with friends and important people. They would remove the black people who were dealing the cards and stuff. Like, look, everybody gonna have their own thing. Look, the history is there. If you want to know about him being possibly a racist, it's there.
As opposed to the history, what about since he has become our commander in chief? Have you seen any racial overtones from him as president of this nation?
I think he is parroting some lines that come from other people. I don't believe he's thinking up this shit himself. I believe somebody told him them, like the Stephen Millers or the Bannon, or people are telling him, like, yeah, man, you got the opportunity to like help these people. And at the same time, you're going to maintain and keep your voter base. You're going to keep those white men by telling them that they have somehow been injured by a system that was set up to propel them to success from the beginning.
So it's almost like my boy didn't do nothing. So you kind of see Trump as more of a neutral individual that just happens to be hanging with the wrong crowd. Kind of something like, you might tell a judge, my son was actually a good boy. He just got with the wrong folks. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Right. Just like, after those consent decrees he signed after the feds, basically, they didn't find him guilty because we know how Trump does. He gonna cut a deal. And he made a deal in his consent decree to rehabilitate his image, which he put stuff in the paper that invited black people to come apply for his, for the homes and stuff. That's when he started getting involved in black politics, gave, Jesse Jackson a couple dollars to run. He was doing the stuff on Oprah. Like, he never really hung around black. He didn't like Mike Tyson and none of that shit. But he was rehabbing his image among people. And so I don't see him, like, his dad was obviously, racist. He was, caught in KKK, protests and rallies and stuff. I don't know what's in the man's heart, but I just think some of this stuff that they're talking about, somebody said that to him. I don't believe he's that intelligent. I don't think he thinks that deep into saying, oh, white people were hurt, but because he don't know.
Well, yeah, because he was always rich, so he ain't been hurt by no act.
Yeah, he has no idea about that stuff. All he knows is people cheat, and get what they
and eliminating all forms of
racial what about his claim, though, that he's done more for blacks than anybody else since the Civil Rights Act?
And I keep on asking these people in the chat and anybody out here say that, show me the proof. I can show you the proof that right now, the black unemployment rate is almost double the white unemployment rate. It wasn't like that in 2023, in 2024. It's gotten like that since he's been in office because the vast majority of the firings that came in the government sector were black women. And so, you can say he done something and they talking about, what about the First Step Act and all that? Man, that was pet project and nobody, like maybe 10 people benefited from that shit.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get a lot of support from black women, so I don't think he gives a shit about black women losing their jobs.
But then you can't say you done shit for black people then. You can't be like, all the numbers say something different, but you just get up there and keep saying what I've done for black people and you can't articulate any of it. The one guy on here was talking about he gave black people better jobs and better pay. Like, what is the metric you're using to say that shit? And I take offense to that because what they're saying is black people's progress over the years is not attributed to our hard work and our perseverance. It's due to the president doing something for us. And that's bullshit.
Well, yeah, but that's because we're all DEI. We don't have the skills anyway. So if the president don't give us those jobs, we'll never have the merit over a white guy. We just do not qualify to do any damn thing. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. So. And I go back to once I left the military and I went into the private sector, I got to experience at a certain level, like all of them people were not qualified. I'm talking about guys who were doing the equivalent job that I was doing, which required my degree and all types of certifications. These dudes started out as handymen who got a job from their uncle or their cousin. I'm talking about some of these guys that were on the same level as me, getting the same pay or better, didn't know how to use the fucking computer to enter their time. They didn't know how to process government contracts. None of that shit. But the moment I came in, they said, "Well, we need you to bring in, paper copies of your college transcript." And
they wanted to see your credentials.
They wanted to see my credentials, and when I went in there, not one of my counterparts had none of the shit that I had. None of it.
So you were the guy with the merit, and they were all DEI.
Right, and they would tell me unknowingly. I'm sitting here listening to their conversations about how they ended up where they ended up. One of my guys, he told me he ended up being a painter, but he said when he first got the job, his uncle, asked him, did he want to work at the hospital? And he said, sure. And he said, well, what am I going to be doing? He said, do you want to be an electrician? He said his uncle asked him, did he want to be an electrician? And he said, well, I don't know nothing about electricity and nothing. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll train you. And he said, well, no, I'm not comfortable with that. He said, what about painter? Yeah, we got a position. So he got his job as a painter, and now he's probably making $35, $40 an hour as a painter with no training, no apprenticeships, no nothing. Now, wow. they telling me because we just sitting there having conversations about, just stuff, and they telling me all of this stuff, all of this shit go back to, when I was young and I was a teenager, I used to get drunk, and then, the cops would get me, and then they would turn me over to my dad and stuff. No, my black ass, I'm going to jail. I'm about to get a DUI on my record. I'm about to have a record. I ain't going to be able to pay for it, so now I'm going to be a fugitive. We know how to...
You sound like you're almost indicating the presence of some form of privilege there, didn't count. That's what it almost sounds. But we were talking about blacks working hard. So in the comments, I think it says, Will Ross says, black people and hard work in the same sentence? How do you do that? The suggestion that...
And I can say that, after doing 20 plus years in the military, rising up to the highest levels in my ranking, I can say that after doing that, I went to working for the government again, working for the VA, working at the Army hospital. You don't keep those jobs if you don't work hard, if you're not worthy.
Yeah. I will just go back even further and say, you don't bring people over to feed, house, and clothe them as slaves if they're not working hard. You would find another group of people that's going to do the work you need done. You don't go and pick from a lazy population if they don't work hard. So the idea that blacks don't work hard goes against the history of this country. They pick blacks for a reason. Go ahead.
And they're doing it right. They're doing it right now where they saying all these Hispanic people are out here taking up government benefits. Okay, where are you finding them at? At the courthouse while they're trying to get their paperwork straight. Or we catching them at the job where they working. How can both of them be the same at the same time?
That's a good question to ask.
They mooching and they hiding in the shadows. But where did you find them at? You know what I'm saying? Driving down Main Street?
So some of this shit, it is hard to come up with. But in regards to Greenland, because we're talking about that as well, President Trump has indicated, well, since I didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, I don't feel, as his words is, I don't feel obligated to be peaceful. So are we essentially trying to acquire Greenland solely because our commander-in-chief was not granted the Nobel Peace Prize? What is he talking about?
He is using us as him. He's basically saying the country should not be, shouldn't be peaceful because of his personal issues. And that's the part I really don't like about this especially when MAGA says we're winning. We are not winning anything. Yeah. The things that I prosper from, my investments are stuff that I chose to invest my money in. It's got nothing to do with Trump, but they attribute everything that happens to Trump as somehow happening to them.
Yeah, I've said that. I've said that when the Bears were winning, God bless their soul for their season. But when the Bears were winning, as a Bears fan, that's what we used to say: is we're winning. You ain't winning shit. I still got to go to work and everything. It's not paying my rent, not buying me food, not doing anything. But you do feel like you're winning when they win. So I think that's the relationship. That's the relationship with MAGA and Trump, is that when he wins, they feel like they're winning too.
Yeah, you're winning bragging rights. But when he says it, the people on the losing side are getting hurt, are getting affected, are getting, unalived, are getting, hurt or not being able to feed their families or not having insurance. When they say they're winning, when they say he's winning, most of the time it's affecting American citizens. Just the same way where he's talking about anybody who any country that deals with Denmark, he's going to put a tariff on them or something.
Any country that is against what we're doing with Greenland, yeah, he's going to punish him. But I want to ask you this: is there hypocrisy I'm hearing? Are you being hypocritical? MAGA React says Denkow says we are not winning, and then goes on to tell us how good his stocks and investments are doing. So he is suggesting that Trump is at the behest of how you're doing better financially.
No, I'm saying that the stock market is doing better. That's not Trump. The same way when the stock market was booming under Biden, nobody was saying Biden was winning. Nobody was saying that.
Somewhere.
And Biden went from a 40-year low stock market that he inherited from Trump and took it up to 45,000. So I don't want to hear this. Their comparisons don't make any sense. They think they make sense because they say it to themselves, but it's pretty stupid. The whole point was saying we are not winning. I am winning because I have a good stock profile. That has nothing to do with Trump.
Thank you.
That has nothing to do with Trump. Trump didn't pick my stocks for me or put, or do ETFs for me or get me involved in crypto, which he did buy some crypto for America, but what America ceases to understand is he bought that Bitcoin and crypto at its height, which is at like 120,000. Now it's down to 95,000. So that investment that he took our money
and he lost
and invested about a third. Bitcoin is now down billions of dollars, but they don't want to talk about that.
So I guess I would ask you, just on the whole, how do you think Trump is doing governing this country? I mean, we always talk about the letter grade. It's been a year now. I mean, are you giving him at least a C, maybe a B?
People don't necessarily understand the ramifications of what he's doing right now because things that he's doing is not instant. Even I can admit that I thought when he started this tariff stuff, things were going to go south really fast. It didn't happen. It was a gradual thing that we are experiencing now, but it's so gradual, it wasn't the sudden impact that I thought it was going to have. Because remember, we was like, hey, wait till these kids, but he's playing whack-a-mole with the economy. So he's saying 100%, out loud on Friday afternoon, and then on Sunday morning when nobody's paying attention, he's going to those countries and say, well, we're gonna exclude this, and this.
What do you say? He's playing the switcheroo?
He's playing the switcheroo in the whack-a-mole, so it's not as hard on the economy. But I don't know if you've seen the Canadian Prime Minister like a couple of days ago when they just struck a new trade deal with China.
I have heard about that. I don't know.
He said it's the beginning of the new world order. China is benefiting from all of this shit he's doing.
Yep.
They are benefiting.
My guess is so is Russia too, because we don't have our eye on the ball because there's so much going on the court at the same time. But it is hard to keep focused on any one topic because he's everywhere. So a lot of these countries
he puts a tariff on an island that only has walruses on it, but he never said anything. He didn't put no tariffs on Russia at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that's why I believed President Trump, and I was promoting him stating he could end the war with Ukraine in 24 hours. I don't know about 24 hours, but I thought he could end it rather quickly because I did believe him and Putin had a fairly cordial relationship. But now that he's been president for a year, that doesn't seem to be the case. Or perhaps they do, and Trump is just lying to the American people and saying he could end the war, but on the backhand telling Putin, don't worry, do whatever you need to do. I'll hold my people off as long as I can. It could be that, because I thought Trump and Putin had a good relationship.
Right, but I'll end with this. The stuff that's happening is going to probably take decades to unfold. Because if he really goes after Greenland, and I'm beyond that, he ain't gonna do it shit like we was before. Like, he's not gonna really do that. If he does it, that will be the destruction of NATO, and there will literally be a new world order. All of our allies will say, you can't attack a NATO country and you in NATO.
Yeah.
Like, that defeats the
I don't think, but he's convinced a large portion of this population, certainly MAGA, that NATO is kind of irrelevant anyway, that we can do all this shit alone. We don't need NATO. Listen to the MAGA loyalists. We already have a base in Greenland. Yeah. Norway, Denmark, they will never allow China or Russia to move in and take over like he's claiming. It's a dog whistle. He's trying to get their rare earth minerals. Sound like a Venezuelan repeat. I got to move it on, though, didn't Cal? Thank you for coming through. Appreciate it. And by the way, folks, the third topic, in addition to this MLK and Norway stuff, I've been forgetting to ask folks is, what is the goal in Minnesota? We sent in, 2,000 ICE agents. And then, of course, there was the shooting of Renee Nicole Good. Riots broke out, and Trump sent in another 1,000 ICE agents. And now he is suggesting he may send in 1,500 active duty military. Leading to two questions. One being, is this worth the financial cost? You got to think all these people are staying in hotels. You need vehicles to run all of the, fuel. We're not even talking about the Somali fraud that allegedly was why they went there to begin with. This is literally white people fighting and protesting against white people. That's who the protesters are. Minnesota's predominantly white. But I'm just asking, is this worth the financial toll it's costing taxpayers to have thousands of unwanted agents in this area? And of course, the second question is, what is the measure of success? What has to happen in Minnesota for the Trump administration to say, okay, we are successful now, we'll pull out? What does success look like? Because I don't know. I want to hear from you folks. I'm curious. Tap the screen, get us on up to 90,000. We'll take the next caller. Looking in the comments real quick. Thank you for the sub, John Greer, and the support. Hear this, man, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support and the sub. If you're currently watching us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, feel free to follow the program. If you're watching us on, better yet on YouTube, give us a sub. But if you're watching us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, follow the program. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a sub. We are indeed MAGA friendly, always have been MAGA friendly. Always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone, any damn body on this program. You can be critical of anyone, including yours truly. Our comments go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. That's a fucking disrespect like no other, says King Finn. What is the disrespect, King? People have money to buy a house and retire young. Is that what is that the answer to? You do realize 20 million people jumped ahead of line and 7 million who signed up to come here legally. They all need to go home. They screwed the system. I want to point out something before I take the next caller and get us on up to 90,000. We can certainly have that happen if you let your thumbs not be lazy. Tap the screen on TikTok and help your boy out with the TikTok cap goal. Few of you guys have been showing some support, but help your boy out. I want to say this real quick. Many suggest, particularly MAGA, thank you, King Finn, Martin Luther King would be happy. Many suggest, I like that blue one. Many suggest that the only reason Trump is doing all this is because Biden let so many people in the country. I want to submit to you that that's not true, because everybody is suggesting that Obama was doing a good job in terms of securing the border. The deporter in chief, they often called him. Yet after Obama's 8 years, Trump got in and immediately called for a total and complete ban on all Muslims entering the country. And he was immediately chanting, "Build that wall." Steve Bannon was even collecting money for bricks that would be placed in the wall. The point I'm making is this. Trump was going to be very tough on immigrants coming here, regardless if the border was secure before him or not, because Obama was significantly better at managing the southern border than Biden was. And he was just as gung-ho about kicking people out and blocking folks from coming here after Obama as he was after Biden. Only difference is his administration, the Supreme Court, and the powers that be were not as favorable to him as they are now. But he was very strong. I mean, think about it. If you get a total and complete ban on all Muslims coming into America, that's 1 billion people. He was doing that after Obama. There was not millions of people that Obama let in, and he still was doing it. He still was talking about building a wall, higher. He was still gung-ho on immigration. So the point is, this ain't got nothing to do with Biden. Even though Biden did a terrible job by most people's standards of securing the border, nothing to do with Biden. Trump was going to be tough and anti-immigrant no matter what. Anyway, I'll go back to the bots. Civil Rights Act, bad for white people, says President Trump. We'll make it happen with the one and only gangsta grandma. Good evening. Welcome to the wait a minute. Did I hear straight talk? You're going to be nicer than gangsta grandma, I assume. You want to step down and come back?
You didn't mean to hit me.
Okay. I'll bring up gangsta. We'll get you. All right. No, I didn't mean to hit him. He's right. Sometimes I fat finger things here. We'll make it happen with the one and only gangsta grandma. Here we go.
I can't stand your big, fluffy looking, no good for nothing ass Uncle Ruckus. God, I can't even get high with your ugly ass without I have to go off on your fatty fucking looking ass.
You're treating me like I'm DEI. What the hell's going on?
You are DEI, my damn books, because Negro. What the hell is wrong with you? You know, I try to be nice with you. Fluffy, I try to be nice. I tried. I even got high just to be nice.
What have I said or done that you have a problem with today? I've been a very done fluffing type guest.
No, you've been fluffing. You've been gagging, like balls deep gagging. Like, damn, my Negro.
What in Samuel?
What the hell?
What
you show me how to suck some dick? Because you sure went like that all the way down.
Now, I get...
By the way, getting off a topic for a second, did you go to that damn, the hose over there? They had those snow roaches in that damn, what is that called? The ranch? Did you go get you some?
I did not go out to Pahrump and indulge in, what do you call them, brothers?
They had those damn snow roaches. I thought you would get you some.
That shit.
I was like, damn, baby. I was like, damn, Tim, go get you some snow roaches.
Well, let me just say.
You go do that, right?
Let me just say, you're referring, for folks who don't know, I was just in Vegas. You're asking me, did I go to Pahrump and engage in brothel activities? Let me just say, that stuff is very expensive, or so I've heard.
Well,
I've heard that.
The coochie? You can't afford the snow roach coochie? I mean, damn, that's kind of sad, don't you think, Tim?
Well, you don't supposed to pay for it, do you?
I don't know. I don't pay for my dang-a-lang.
Right,
my shit's free, honey.
All right,
my chocolate's free. It just melts in my damn I can't say. I gotta be nice, Tim.
Do you know how to do such things?
I tried it. See, that's why I was eating see, I had some very flavorful chocolate ice cream that'll put you on your ass type of shit. And I was just here just eating it. And I'm like, damn, I'm getting, high as hell. Here comes the fluffer. Over here saying about, oh, you know what? Oh,
well, I did say, speaking of...
Jen Cal. You know what Jen Cal get on my damn nerves, too. Well, I think he's an opportunist. No, Mr. Dear Cal, with your ugly looking ass, he is a racist.
Okay.
You let him, you both your motherfuckers get on my damn fucking nerves, on God.
Okay, so you do believe President Trump is racist?
Really?
That's what you said.
Hell yeah, I'm racist. What are you talking about?
What? And I'm going to ask you.
Racism. He does all this shit about racism. You know he wants to go in and start a World War III because of what? Because that little mofo didn't get the Peace Prize. Oh my God. Give the little white man a cookie. I'll give him a damn cookie with the damn shit on it.
I'm going to ask you this, and before I do, Junebug says, Tim has such a great heart to tolerate this for y'all entertainment. I'm going to ask this. What has Trump actually did for you to suggest he's racist? Because he stated he's done more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln.
Just living and breathing, okay? I mean, I honest to God, every day I pray to God that he takes him out. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be wonderful if he takes his ass out, like one more big cheeseburger. You know what I mean? Like,
Did I hear you correctly in stating that you pray to God every day that something takes Trump out?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
That's not very Christian of you.
Hey, you know what? I ain't a perfect Christian. I'm a freaky Christian, okay? God knows where my heart is. God knows I like sucking and ducking and everything else. But he knows I love me some Jesus, okay? I'm not no Bible thumper. I ain't gonna use the Bible against nobody. I know the Bible inside and out. You feel what I'm saying?
But you indicate you're praying for the demise of one of God's...
Yeah, God says when you want to pray to him and you want something from him, you pray, right? So my fat ass, after I get high and stuff, I sit there and I talk to God. And I say, God, relieve us from our pressures. Relieve us and take the devil back to hell.
But you are literally praying for the demise of one of God's children. How is that acceptable?
He's a Satan. He's a Semite. What are those devil things? Not Semite. What are those things? He's a spawn. Yeah, a spawn. He is a spawn of the Satan. That ain't no godlike. I'm godlike compared to him. I'm just a freak.
So how about this?
I don't go over there and hate on nobody. I love people. I be sucking and fucking. I'm not all like that. Now I'm God's child. Him, he is the spawn of the devil.
So how about this? Because Straight Talk Commerce is suggesting that you are the type of person that liberals vote with, indicating that...
Oh my God. You know what? Let me tell you something. When I go vote, I vote for other people. I don't vote for my damn self.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what he's saying. What he is saying is the liberals are voting with people like you, so it says a lot about the liberals.
You know what? But people like me, let me tell you something. I'm a freak, bitch, okay? And shove that up your ass. I got 8 inches, 9 inches. What you want? You want lubricant or non-lubricant? You feel what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. I mind my own business. I don't care who goes into the damn restroom as long as you don't be looking at me underneath the damn thing. I don't mind people being themselves. I don't mind people what they eat on food stamps. I don't mind shit. I mind my black fucking business. I pay my black fucking bills and I mind my black fucking business. That's what I do. So if people want to vote for that, go ahead. Well, I'm not a racist, no good for nothing, trailer trash asses like your little roaches are, and they're voting for hate. And then put CK right next to Martin Luther King as a disgrace. Drip, drip.
That was a pretty strong comment to suggest that Charlie Kirk is the white man's Martin Luther King, but hang on.
Yeah,
Leo Play says, okay, hang on, hold on. Leo Play says, thanks, Grand, for helping Tim. Appreciate that, Leo Place 29. How do you view that Charlie Kirk is the white man's Martin Luther King, coming from, I believe,
he's a white tea devil. He's the triple K with the hood.
Charlie Kirk
Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that.
Charlie Kirk is a God-fearing Christian.
That's not God-fearing. That's not God-fearing shit. That's a white nationalist right there. See, there's a difference between a Christian like myself, that's a freaky leaky, and then there's a white nationalist that thinks that the Bible and God will love their asses. But technically, God will vote with us, the Blueies, because he was for the poor, he was for the indigenous, he was for
What makes you suggest that CK Charlie Kirk is a white? Do you call him a white nationalist?
Yep, and he's dripping, isn't he? Ain't that some funny shit? I never seen a white boy lean to the left, drip.
But the white nationalist comment. What has Charlie Kirk done or said to indicate that?
Are you? I know. Lord have mercy. That cock is really good up in your mouth, huh? You gag it like 8 inches. Does a white boy have 8 inches? I swear he has like 2 inches, and you just gag it all up in it, huh?
No, I'm trying to get you to back up your statement, but before you,
I am backing it up.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
What he said about black women? Did you not hear what he said about black pilots? I swear to God, he said that black women are not educated, that they don't have common sense, but yet black women are the most educated. Black women are got degrees and shit up the ass. So who's not educated? I swear to God.
I'm just simply stating that.
I'm just simply saying, quick, get off your knees. And if you're going to get on your knees, get on the knees for a chocolate woman. Do something fucking right.
What the hell does that got to do with this?
Quit going to the snow roaches, okay? Because they're really fucking up your mind, man. Like, it's like you're dripping on their uncooked, seasoned looking, pork green looking asses.
I'm still trying to figure out what is a snow roach. What is that?
Well, you always assault the snow bunny, right? You always say, and they cute as hell. You know, I had a snow bunny in my, a real life snow bunny, and I have a picture of him in my damn yard, okay? A couple of days ago, right? It was snowing, I couldn't really see it. It was cute as shit with his little beady looking eyes. Then you came up on this bitch, right? Then you said this. I love me a snow bunny. I said, oh, don't offend the snow bunny. I call them snow roaches because they just multiply. Like rain can't even fuck with their ass.
Well, I would submit to you that the black population breeds and creates more people than the white population does. We have children at a greater rate than they do. But I want to read this
because
to
we
you.
like our chocolate dick. That's why shit. Who the fuck don't like BBC? I have my babies on. Oh, honey, I love my BBC up the ass, though. You know what I mean? And I got pregnant 4 fucking damn times. Sure fucking did. And I gave birth to
I just walked into that one. I just literally set myself up. But real quick, I want to hold on, hang on, gangster. Hang on. I want to read something to you. Jason Hill in the comments says that Charlie Kirk had over 200 black people hired for his company and is paying them very well. So how could he be a racist?
Really? I have a white friend. Okay? Just like they say I have a black friend. I can't be racist, right? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. He just probably like to see the chocolate because he was afraid to go into his homo side. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, let's go there. A lot of conservative white men love it in the ass any damn way. Trust and believe. And if I really want to get technical, honey bunny, okay? My little snow buddy, little foo-foo over here, let me tell you something, okay? I can spill the beans on a lot of mofo people. And they like it in the ass because my DMs be popping. Because they swear up and down I'm still in the pagan situation, but I'm really not. Let me tell you, a lot of conservative white tea mofos like 8 inches, 12 inches. And honey, they like it lube too, honey.
Where are you getting this information that you're claiming that white people like? They didn't like that. They didn't like that. They took my guest down. Unfortunately, Gangsta Grandma got thrown off the program. We don't black man or censor. We never do that. Unfortunately, sometimes guest gets a bit passionate or uses a few keywords here and there, and it can't happen. Gangsta Grandma got taken down. She's always welcome back, though. Looking in the comments, I see it. Andrew says, thank God. You must have her on here every day. We have many of our guests as repeats, certainly the ones that are kind enough to subscribe and show the program some love. We bring guests back. Yeah, of course. And of course, we don't run or shy away from new guests. Looking in the comments, MAGA crashed Grinder and hates on gays. Well, maybe they're using Grinder for straight relationships. She probably mad that Elon Musk is African American and she just plain American. Okay, let me give the people what they want. Tap the screen. We got one before we do that, and that is indeed Straight Talk. Well, we promised Straight Talk, but apparently he is not there. So we'll go ahead and move on with Mega Reacts. Good evening. Calling Charlie Kirk racist is like calling God Jesus racist because he was a Jesus follower. Do you agree with that, MAGA?
That what?
Calling Charlie Kirk racist is like calling God or Jesus racist because he was a Jesus follower.
I guess. I mean, God is not racist and Charlie Kirk wasn't racist.
Why do you think so many people why do you think so many people believe that Charlie Kirk was racist?
Well, because he hated affirmative action and DEI, and they used that to basically paint him as racist. Because he was every one of those things that you keep mentioning was him. Really had more to do with the DEI and affirmative action of the situation.
No, he
was basically saying that affirmative action was the reason they were there.
Now you say Charlie Kirk hated affirmative action and DEI. I guess I want to ask you this. Do you believe if we never had affirmative action or DEI, do you believe blacks would have been better off having never had that?
I mean, DEI, yes, 100%. Affirmative action, I think we needed it at the time because there were a lot more racists around back then.
What is your
racism?
I want you to describe what DEI is to you.
DEI is hiring anyone for any reason other than their qualification, especially if they're unqualified and you go out of your way to hire them.
Now, there's a lot of Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, there's a lot of African Americans that work in many different career fields and things like that. Do you know of any career field that has a hell of a lot of African Americans in it that are unqualified? Where is this DEI so prevalent? If DEI means bringing on people that are not qualified, where is this happening then? Because Charlie Kirk talked about pilots, and I'm not aware of a whole bunch of unqualified black pilots. Go ahead.
I mean, it's happening in a corporate environment. These people were like virtue signaling, really. It was more of a PR stunt telling the whole world that, we're only going to hire POCs or whatever. And
when you say it happened in a corporate, you say it happened in a corporate environment.
Program. Even my own brother has a DI program in his hospital, and he's a doctor.
You said it happened in a corporate environment. So what kind of jobs were these folks that had little to no qualifications doing?
I mean, everything from management to being pilots to being doctors, any kind of job, every kind of job, all the ones that.
So these people, they're hiring tons of folks who are unqualified. Yet we're not hearing about planes crashing, trains jumping off the road. Where are all of these unqualified people making mistakes? I mean, did they all learn the job?
You're kind of misunderstanding me. They're qualified, but they weren't the best. So, and we don't know that. They should be only about their qualification. You could do both. You could do qualification plus race, but really it should never be about your race.
So you say they are qualified. They're just not the best. What is that based on? What is your source?
Well, based on the fact that they're choosing race as the reason to hire them, not because they're, number one reason should be their qualification.
So if I say I want my next pilot.
Does race make you a better pilot? Does your race make you a better pilot?
No, but does it make you a worse? No, it doesn't make you a better, but it doesn't make you worse either. If I say the next pilot I hire is going to be a white guy, does that mean he's not going to be qualified?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Look, just because they were DI hires doesn't mean that they were unqualified. But it tells me that they're taking into effect things that has nothing to do with their flying skill.
Okay. Now, I would agree that trying to diversify your workforce means that you're now taking into consideration a factor that may not have anything to do with the job. You want to make sure 20-30% of the department is minorities. So that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the job. I get that part. But the part I'm confused on is why are we indicating that the 20-30% that we hire are going to somehow be unqualified?
I mean, first of all, like, diversity is a good thing. You want diversity of, like, thought, of skills, of things that matter. You know, you want one guy that's good at doing job A and one guy that's good at job B. You don't want a bunch of people that are good at job A.
Okay.
And, you know, especially like customer relationships, you kind of would want diversity because having different people of different types will help you, you know, take care of different customers of different types because it's customer relationship. So there are fields where it applies. The issue is like with these DEI guys, like they just limited the pool of people to pick from. So even though they're qualified, like you're being like reverse racist by telling everybody, the majority of people, that don't even waste your time because we're only going to hire, you know, minorities.
But there's no job that did such a thing. When they came up with affirmative action in DEI, they suggested that we want 20% of our force to be minorities, or we want 50% of it. That doesn't mean that nobody white is working there. That means that they now want some representation of other groups because that's all that used to work here is white people.
No, I think they took it the dial all the way to the other side, like where it's almost no white people are working there.
Give me some industries. Give me some industries where there's nobody white working.
I mean, this is anecdotal, and this is just an example. I don't have exact numbers in front of me. But
then what's making you say that then?
Just somebody's story. You know, what's his name? I forgot his name. The guy that used to be on the main show with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, you're talking about Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, Adam Carolla tells the story all the time of how he applied to be a firefighter, and they basically told him, "You're not a minority. Don't even fucking try." And then, you know, nowadays it's even worse. Even as a minority, you're barely going to get hired. You have to be a minority and LGBTQ and all this other thing.
What is this based on, though? Is this based on any real source or documentation? Where is that coming from?
I mean, just based on the people I see in these jobs that there's no way they just join. I don't know. Like I said, it's anecdotal.
MAGA, let me just say something. You know how many black people complain that they don't get jobs because they're black? We don't give a damn when they say that. Black people to this day are still saying they don't get jobs, they get loans and all sorts of shit just for being black.
Well, that's discrimination, and you can sue for that.
Well,
but you know,
a white person can sue as well if they can prove it.
I mean, that's true, but the whole point, like, at least they're not being told, like, oh, we're not hiring black people. Like, in this situation,
who is being told we're not hiring white people?
I mean, when you say you're doing DEI hiring, you're basically saying you're only going to hire, you know, minorities and LGBTQ and stuff.
That's not true.
Then, like I said, I think it discriminates against minorities too. I think you really have to be LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, there's nobody saying, there is no one saying we're only going to hire minorities or black. That would be against the law. Nobody, when they say they want to diversify their workforce, they're saying we do want some people from this group, but there is nobody saying we're not hiring white people. Where are you getting this stuff?
That's the message most people hear. So they need to stop sending out that message. Even if that's not their intention and what you're saying is correct, which I don't believe it is, they need to stop saying that they're only hiring DEI because you're sending out the wrong message.
Well, if we only go by what people are hearing, you do realize a hell of a lot of minorities are hearing that Trump is racist. I mean, do we care about what people hear?
I mean, we do. That's what I'm saying. You should stop doing it. Because, you know, they shouldn't think he's racist, but they do.
Okay, so
like the people
So you should stop thinking these companies are not hiring white people then, because they do as well.
What do you mean?
You're telling me that whites are hearing that nobody's hiring them. And I'm saying that blacks are hearing that Trump is racist. So you're saying people should stop hearing what they're hearing.
Well, people should stop saying it, that they're only hiring the...
Nobody is saying that.
They have a DI.
No.
Well, just because Trump was voted in and it was found to be unpopular.
No, Trump was voted in and he started saying all kinds of unpopular shit. That's why he's unpopular. A lot of things that Trump is doing.
DEI was found to be unpopular. Like, all the people that were pro-DEI stopped.
No.
I don't think any of these corporations are still doing it.
No, they stopped because Trump started threatening them.
Then Trump doesn't have time to go after every DEI company out there.
Trump has time to go after. Trump has time to go after Rosie O'Donnell. What are you talking about?
He hasn't done anything to her, and there's a lot of he's busy going after Rosie O'Donnell. Do you think he's gonna go after every DI company out there?
Trump goes after
the ones that make the news.
You sound like somebody who doesn't know Trump. He goes after colleges. He goes after Jimmy Kimmel. Trump has plenty of time to go after people.
Again, just commenting on whatever, Twitter or whatever, it doesn't count as going after them. Jimmy Kimmel still has his job. And technically, he did nothing to Jimmy Kimmel.
No, Jimmy Kimmel has his job because Disney, the company that Jimmy Kimmel works for, realized that if they try to follow Trump's request, they're going to get a huge lawsuit from Jimmy Kimmel. That's why they hired him back. But Jimmy Kimmel was fired. They were going to take Trump's advice. They were taking him off the air until they realized this is going to get us sued.
What happened is they were going to fire him, and then Trump ran his mouth, and then they couldn't fire him anymore because it was just...
Well,
Trump said something, and everybody was against it.
Well, let's just be clear. All of this...
If Trump was quiet, I doubt Jimmy Kimmel would have a job right now.
If Trump was quiet... What are you doing?
Sorry,
that's really loud. Yeah, if Trump was quiet,
the tea kettle by accident.
Yeah, if Trump was quiet, he wouldn't be having half the problems he has. Real quick in the comments though, Big Bo C says DEI only gives us a place at the interview table. Qualifications gets us the job. So what he's saying is, if you don't have the qualifications, you're not getting the job, DEI or not. What say you?
It's called DEI hiring, not DEI interviews. But I don't know. Like I said, it's really more about the message than the actual action. Because, you know, what if no white people apply or people that are not minorities apply, then, you know, they have no choice but only hiring or minorities.
Yeah, I don't quite get what you're saying.
It's just like it's like Adam Carolla's little story.
How do you know Adam Carolla is telling the truth, though? Adam Carolla is obviously biased. You wouldn't accept that same story from Al Sharpton. So how do you know Adam Carolla is telling the truth?
How do you know if anybody's telling the truth?
Right.
That's why I'm not giving it to you as hard fact. I'm just giving it to you as, you know, what I have as an example of how affirmative action can how it can discourage people from going after a career path, you know? You want to be a firefighter, you want to be this, you want to be this, but then you hear that they're only hiring DEI. It's like, shit, I can't become a firefighter because they're only hiring DEI.
So we're telling black people that there is nothing blocking you from achieving the American dream in 2026, but there is stuff blocking white men?
Yeah, I mean, if what we should be saying is everyone has a shot to become anything. If you want to become a firefighter, go for it. If you're good at it, we'll hire you. We shouldn't be saying, oh, if you're good at it, but you also, it would help if you're also a certain race or a certain sexual orientation. No, it should be if you're good at it and you do the work and you're qualified, you should get hired.
So let me ask you.
Or anything else shouldn't have anything to do with it.
So let me ask you, do you believe currently in this country, in terms of employment-wise, that there is privilege to being minority versus white?
Oh, for sure.
So you're better off as a minority looking for a job than a white person?
I mean, in most cases, especially like government jobs, hell yeah. But but there are like certain jobs like someone has a family clinic or like a Korean restaurant and he's hiring all Koreans. Is he racist for not hiring a black person at a Korean restaurant?
No, let's be clear. Most of the jobs in America are part of small businesses. So that's where most of this stuff is likely to take place, is at the small business level. The small business owners don't have to adhere to DEI or any of this affirmative action shit. They can, if you got an Ace Hardware and you got 20 employees, you can hire whoever the hell you want. If you only want to hire white people, you can do that. All you got to do is just don't come out and say I'm only hiring white people.
Exactly. And you should do the same the other way too. You shouldn't, just if you want to hire DEI, hire DEI, but don't come on and say it, because then you're shutting down good people that are gonna be like, oh, he's DEI, he's never gonna hire me.
Who owns most of the businesses in America, in your opinion, between the races?
I mean, the white people are 60% of the people, so by simple math.
So they own most of the businesses, but they're choosing to hire blacks instead of their own kind.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the only way it's going to happen. If you're saying that you're better off as an employee hunting for, hold on, hang on. You're saying that as an employee hunting for a job, you're better off as a minority than white, but you're admitting that chances are the employer is going to be a white guy. So in other words, whites are hiring black people.
First of all, you put those words in my mouth.
I asked a question and you answered it.
I answered it to the best of my ability on the fly. That's not the same as me saying it. I'm like, without getting to think about it, I agree with you now, which I do a lot with you, but it always hurts.
I simply opened up a door. You walked in, and now you want to accuse me of pushing you in there.
Peer pressure is a bitch, okay? But my point is, like, you're discouraging people that are, if you're only hiring white, you're discouraging DEI. If you're only hiring DEI, you're discouraging white. You should just encourage everyone to fucking apply and then hire whoever you want. Just don't discourage us by telling you, oh, we're only doing this. That's my business. I hire mostly women.
I don't think anybody's discouraging. MAGA reacts. I think what you're doing is you're going and following propaganda as reality. Nobody's discouraging you from doing a damn thing. What you're hearing is some folks get, like Adam Carolla, giving you propaganda, and you're taking that as fact, knowing you wouldn't take the same propaganda from Al Sharpton.
It's logic.
Huh?
It's logic, and it doesn't matter who it's coming from.
Yeah.
If some messaging like that, it's logical that when you put out messaging like that, you're going to discourage people from applying that are not part of it.
But here's what I don't get. When African Americans in particular complain about racism in existence, everything from the police department to the employment industry, we tell African Americans racism ended hundreds of years ago. Certainly at least during the Civil Rights Act. But now white males are complaining about racism and it suddenly is valid? Can you explain that?
I mean, it was valid back then and valid now. The only difference now, like the racism today, is not as hateful as it was back then.
So are African Americans telling the truth when they complain about racism?
It depends on the situation. Sometimes they have very valid reasons. Sometimes it's just BS. It's case by case.
So in other words, when these white males are talking about jobs are not hiring them, sometimes it's BS and it's case by case too then, right?
That's true, but you're still out here. Like, we're not out here saying, that we're not out here saying that we're going to be racist.
You're out here saying that black privilege. You're out here saying that black privilege is an actual fact in the employment world, while telling blacks white privilege doesn't exist.
Again, I'm not trying to say all that. All I'm saying is the messaging that you're putting out could discourage like the futures of certain people. Like, certain people are not going to go into a career because, they're only hiring DEI. You should be encouraging all races, and you should be fair to all races. I don't know why that's so controversial. All the stuff you're saying, I don't know. It's you're jumping to conclusions that I don't know are even possible. And they might be right, they might be wrong, but it doesn't matter. What you should be doing is being fair to everybody and not thinking about someone's race when hiring them.
Okay. So in other words, you would also understand if this can discourage whites from trying to become a firefighter, you would also understand racism can discourage blacks from trusting police then, right?
Yeah, that's why we should stop doing it. We should stop demonizing police. We should stop automatically saying, that he did something because of racism.
Oh, so in other words, the blacks are just... So in other words, the police are not mistreating blacks. They're just demonizing them.
I mean, yeah, in a way they do. I mean, we all demonize each other, but like in the case of ICE right now, it's really bad.
I gotta move
this
on
guy
back.
shot a white woman, and you're still calling him racist. Most people, even though he shot a white woman.
Okay, I gotta move on. MAGA, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through. Good talk. Tap the screen, get us on up to 125,000. Help us finish off that damn TikTok cap goal. Let me go back to the box. Real quick in the comments before I move on. DEI only give. Oh, I saw that, and I agree with that too. By the way, DEI means that they can't stop you from applying for the job, but when you get in there, you still got to add the qualifications, which is why I've asked him and I ask other callers. And thank you there, Bryce. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. And C. Osby as well. That's why I asked folks, if DEI represents the hiring of unqualified individuals, why not show us where all of these people are working at? The mistakes they're making, planes crash and all of this shit. Where is this stuff happening that if so many unqualified people are working simply because they're black, brown, or a part of the LGBTQ community? Straight talk. Good evening.
Oh my gosh, dude. Where do I start with you?
Anywhere you want, sir. It's your program.
Right, let's start here first. Let's start here, okay? You are confusing race with culture, which you always do.
Explain.
There's a difference between race and culture. You can't have things both ways, by the way. You can't say on one hand that black women were not hired disproportionately into the government and they weren't given DEI preferences, and then cry when government does layoffs and hundreds of thousands of black women are then laid off. They had to get there from somewhere. You're not complaining about white women or Chinese women that got laid off from the government. You see a disproportionate amount of black women that got laid off from their government, and this is an issue.
Now that was not my complaint, by the way. That was a viewer that said that.
It was. I've been.
No, I didn't know. I said that when my viewers stated that black women have lost their jobs in mass under Trump, I said, well, they didn't vote for him anyway. So he don't probably care about that.
But this has nothing to do with who he cares about, who he doesn't care about. He laid off the government because it was wasteful. There were a lot of jobs in the government. Those jobs were being wasted, being wasteful. The people that were in those jobs happened to be disproportionately black women. And that proves that DEI programs put black women in those positions, and now they've been laid off. You've proved it.
Well, straight talk. I mean, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not even happy with the proof that the jobs he got rid of were waste, fraud, and abuse. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
We'll have that. That's a separate argument, Tim. That is
it's part of what you just said, though. You said that yeah, you did. You said all of the jobs. You said he came in and he fired a bunch of people.
I told you the reason that he did it, buddy. I told you the reason he said.
What is the reason he did it? What is the reason he did it?
No, what I'm saying to you is he gave the reason that those jobs were wasteful and not needed, and that he was saving money. I didn't say whether he was right or whether he was wrong.
So let me ask you this: if he's able to find out that majority of these jobs are being operated by black women, let's just say they're waste, fraud, and abuse. That way we can get rid of theirs. How do we know that didn't happen?
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that those jobs were wasteful. I'm not saying that the people that were in those jobs weren't doing a good job. They were probably doing what they were asked to be doing. What I am saying to you is you cannot on one hand say that there were no DEI hires or there was a disproportionate, there was a disproportionate number. It made black unemployment go up by 1.2%.
No, and see, I disagree with you because if you want to, I'm trying to explain to you, if I want to fire a bunch of blacks, I'll target certain positions where they work and basically eliminate those positions.
No. He eliminated entire departments, Tim. He didn't say, oh, we're only going to fire the black women that were in these positions. That's not what happened. What happened was he took department after department after department, firing those departments. And what did we find? They were predominantly black women in those jobs.
That's actually not true.
Because that's what's made up for the government.
That's actually not true. In some cases, he said we're going to fire 25, 50% of a department. And then it was up to them to pick who, and then it's up to them to pick who the 25% are. So there is still a way you can target black women.
Let me get this straight. You think your charge is that someone went in, whether it was Doge, whether it was someone at the Department of, say, Justice, and they laid off a bunch of people at the Department of Justice, the Department of Education. So they said, we're only going to lay off the black women that work in this department, in Department of Education.
It's a good question. I'm going to say that it is awfully suspicious how.
I'll tell you something right now.
Hold on, you asked the question. Let me answer the question you asked.
But let me interrupt you real quick.
You can get an answer.
Let me tell you something right now. If that is the case, I will personally light the torch that burns this government down.
You'll never be told the truth, though. You wouldn't. In fact,
no way.
I will submit this to you. Even if this was happening in 1950. You wouldn't be told the truth. America, particularly white America, you want to talk about culture, has a lengthy history of either downplaying or refusing to acknowledge the presence of racism. You'll never find out the truth. Here's what you're witnessing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it. White America does not tell the truth about racism.
You have changed. Listen. Whether you want to believe this or not, people's race did not change. You cannot change race.
Okay.
Race is your physical characteristic.
Okay.
I'm white, you're black, that's our race. But our cultures are very similar. I can tell who you are as a person, and who you are is pretty much how I am too. So our cultures are the same. When my children come home from school and I demand their report card, the culture in my house is I don't see any B's on that report card, or there's hell to pay. You feel me?
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. You want to get sideways with Daddy? Bring me a B. I will be on you like a hive of bees. That's the culture in my house. Now, when you talk about the Harvard admission scandal, right? If Harvard was going off of who was performing the best and letting them into the university, it would have been a hell of a lot more Asians, because their culture, not their race. Asians are no smarter than anyone of any other race. Asian culture, however, places a very high emphasis on the.
Well, I'm going to submit to you. I'm going to submit to you that it's your party that continues to fight against America placing a higher emphasis on education. If it was left up to the liberals, everybody who wants to go to college would have a pathway there and not go deep in debt.
I disagree with that. And here's why. With the Democratic Party, there is a bigotry of low expectation. To them, it doesn't matter. Everyone should get an education. Bullshit. That's not true. Those that work hard should be getting the education. Those that will make something of themselves should get the education. I don't care what race someone
is. What if you work hard and have no money? Your party does not even favor giving you a loan to go there.
It's not true. That's absolutely not true. And by the way, my children were, listen to me. I got 3 girls.
Your party is against government programs of all type, including student loans, whether you agree with that or not.
Go ahead. We are for spending that money intelligently, not just willy-nilly, everybody gets it. And that's the problem that Democrats have with the Republican Party. You hit it. You actually know what the problem is. The problem is, and here's the thing, no one is gatekeeping you. Tyler Perry would go to all of the studios run by white people, right, and try and get his movie made. And they would all turn him down. But he didn't let it stop him. He found financing and is now a billionaire. And now people come to him. Dave Chappelle, same thing. You know the black exploitation movies back in the 60s. They were financed by black comedians. They didn't go to white people and say, hey, finance this for me. No, Bill Cosby.
Why didn't they go to white people?
Because they wouldn't do it, Tim.
Oh,
they
so what was it? What was
it?
DEI only for white movie makers?
Yeah, basically you go with what you know. And they said, hey, yeah, we're not taking the chance on blacks going to the movie theater and watching these Shaft and, Foxy Brown.
So if they actually had something like affirmative action or DEI back then, there's a lot of movie makers that were black that would probably have been able to make films. Is that what you're telling me?
No, what I'm telling you is there were a lot of black filmmakers that made films, but they proved that the system wasn't going to be the one to help them.
And that's what I'm saying. If they had DEI or affirmative action back then, the system would have helped them, and it would have been a lot more black movie makers that would have been able to create films.
No. You're mistaken, because you can't tell me what to invest my money in. Now, you want to force me to invest my money into something that I don't believe in? That's ridiculous.
So you don't believe in...
And with the government, if you went to the government and said... Let me give you a perfect example.
Before you do that, though, I can't tell you what to invest. So if a bank says, I don't really know a lot about black people, so I don't want to give them loans to invest. Are you suggesting that that's okay?
Different thing. Nope.
How?
Investments
How is it
are
different
from loans? Because investments are different from loans. And you're not even supposed to be able to have your race on the loan sheet so we can combat this.
If you loan someone money expecting to get interest, that really is an investment. I don't get how you don't see that.
A private individual loaning people money, totally different story. But if you're talking about a United FDIC insured bank backed by the government, they absolutely cannot ask you if you are black, Chinese, Hispanic, none of that.
When did that start? Straight talk. That wasn't around.
I will tell you. Right, that's a good question. 1952. FICO, Fair Isaac. That's exactly why that took place.
Thank God.
You're talking to someone who's written 7 books on this subject, dude. You ever want to find out about this? I am your Huckleberry.
Well, before you do, Me Too says, can this caller let you speak on your own show? Just because you can't control yourself doesn't mean you are correct. We're having a conversation. Go ahead, Straight Talk.
What did he say?
He said, can you let me speak, damn it, on my own show?
Hold on a second. You asked me a question. I'm giving you an answer.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
We've been doing this for a long time. Y'all need to sit down and just listen, okay? You are so used to the DENCALs. Let me tell you, DENCAL, if you're still here, let me tell you something. We have 35 to 70% tariffs on Russia, all the way up to 500% on countries who are dealing with Russia. So don't talk about tariffs and Russia. You obviously know nothing. All right, where were we?
I don't know where to go with that, but keep going. Where were you talking?
I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. It makes my head hurt when he opens his mouth about stuff. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about.
I'll tell you why he has a point. When Trump held up the board, telling you all the countries and the tariffs, Russia wasn't on that. Why is that?
No. Why? Because we were sanctioning Russia, not tariffing Russia at the time. That's why.
If you're going to tariff,
sanctions and tariffs.
If you're going to tariff the whole world, why would you only sanction this one country and everybody else gets tariffs?
You do know that sanctions are way worse than tariffs. If Russia had been on that list, it would have meant that we were easing, that Trump was giving him something. We were sanctioning Russia. We weren't tariffing Russia. We were going one step further. We weren't allowing people to do business with them at all.
So what you, because you understand Straight Talk, we sanction a lot of countries like Cuba and Iran and all of. So none of them were on that list then either, then, right?
That's right. That's right.
I'd have to
But
look at
all of the countries that we do trade with, they experienced tariffs. All of the countries that we were not trading with experienced sanctions. Sanctions are a tougher version of tariffs.
Depending on what the sanctions are. I don't know if what you're saying is accurate, that all the countries we're sanctioned and none of them were on that list.
You gotta Google. You can Google shit.
I absolutely. So let me.
By the way, did you ever, speaking of Googling, did you ever Google Abdallah?
No.
Did you ever take a look?
No, because I was on vacation.
This is why, Tim, this is why you think Charlie Kirk was some kind of racist, because you refuse to do any research at all about the subject. You did a whole damn video. I watched it, and I sat there chuckling. Like, this man has never heard Charlie Kirk. You've never, to this day,
listen.
made a whole damn video about Charlie Kirk, and you've never heard the man
I'm
speak.
just going to tell you, not only do I find Charlie Kirk's statements intolerant, I look at the crowd that's telling me.
Yes, I get it, because you don't know what the man has said. Of course you don't.
I don't
listen to
look,
his sound bites.
Look, I don't look. There's so many, as you call them, sound bites. Where are the good sound bites at? Tell me where those are. Where's
if you had ever listened to him, you would listen. I could take your show. Give me 3 days of your show. I can cut out parts where you have said things that are so far beyond the pale, TikTok would bury you in the backyard.
I'm going to, and I don't doubt you can edit the fuck out of a show and do that. But I will.
That's what you did to Charlie.
No. Here's what I'm saying. All of the folks that are suggesting that people are taking Charlie Kirk out of context, or like you're saying, it's not a racist. Notice they're not presenting a bunch of good clips from him, presenting a bunch of good stuff he's done for African Americans.
Buddy, they're full versions of Charlie Kirk.
I haven't seen any. Hold on. All I hear is people saying, go look at. Not one person defending Charlie Kirk has put together a montage to show us this shit.
Because you wouldn't watch it. Because you wouldn't watch it. You are satisfied with your clips that you presented in your own damn video.
So you guys
hey, hold up. You want Charlie Kirk to hate you because of the color of your skin, and you're going to make sure.
I just want to see someone put together some clips to show us how great this guy is to African Americans and minorities.
It's not just to African Americans and minorities. It's
where are the clips? Where are the clips?
Listen, for you, because I care about you, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to put it together myself. Not that I'm busy or anything running 2 podcasts. Not that I got all this time. I got a family and shit of my own. You're a grown man who, when he's not fluffing Mo Betta and gangster hamster granny, listen, I will never understand how you listen to that woman. Mo Betta, I love you. You actually make sense occasionally. I was surprised about it. And there's some things she has said in the past few weeks that I actually agree with. And so no hate going toward her. No hate. I actually did hear her say some things that were, that I could actually get on board with. I honestly believe that.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I haven't heard anything from Charlie Kirk that I can get on board with. I need you I desperately need you to help me with that, because all I have from Charlie Kirk is bad shit.
Here's the thing. Let's imagine, and as far as this DEI thing goes, okay, let me prove to you that you do not want DEI hires. And I'm going to do it this way. 1987. You have a child. You have twins. Your wife has delivered twins, and they are conjoined twins at the head.
Oh, God.
Okay?
Okay. And we hire Ben Carson. What are you getting at?
Yeah, wouldn't you? Would you? Is that who you'd go to?
He's a brain. That's something he actually has done. That's one of his claim to fame, is he separated conjoined twins.
Not claim to fame. He was the #1 brain surgeon in the world for decades.
Okay, so what's your point?
That's the only man. That's because, dude, if you can look at Ben Carson and everything he did and decide not to go with Ben Carson to separate your sweet babies. You belong in a level of hell. I don't even want to talk about.
Then I would submit to you that most of America, throughout our history, belong in a level of hell, because throughout most of Americans' history, they would not let Ben Carson do what he did. Most of America's history, he would not have been allowed to do that.
Listen, and by the way, there's a benefit to that. And do you want to know what it is?
I'm scared.
Let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you why that's a good thing. Okay, you ever heard of St. Jude Hospital?
Yes.
Pretty good hospital.
There's
free
a bunch
to
of
its
them.
patients.
Yeah.
It's free to its patients. A sick kid goes to that hospital and never pays a dime. Would you say that's a good thing?
You Republicans would call that socialism.
Not me. I donate tons of money to St. Jude. And do you know why?
I'm listening.
You know how St. Jude became St. Jude Hospital?
I'm listening. Give me your answers. I don't have the answer to this.
Danny Thomas went to the hospital emergency room with his child one night in Tennessee. A black child came into that hospital and they refused to treat that kid. He purchased that hospital. As soon as he got back to Hollywood, he purchased that hospital and turned it into the first St. Jude. Because they wouldn't treat one black child. They wouldn't treat one black child. And he bought that hospital. There's St. Jude's.
Then goddamn it, why did he stop at St. Jude? Because there's a hell of a lot of more hospitals doing the same shit.
Excuse me. Hold up. Not only do they treat everybody, which is what they should be doing, they treat them at no cost. And by the way, if your child goes to that hospital and needs drug treatment that is not available, the government won't allow them to have it. Since St. Jude has a laboratory where they make their own medication, your child still gets in the drug program.
Yeah, but did you hear what I said though?
Yes, but you're not. You didn't.
No.
But
I want to. It bears repeating. St. Jude, at the time he purchased it, because of the discrimination that were involved, I'm certain that wasn't the only hospital doing that. Chances are most hospitals in the area where he went would have done the same shit. They all were discriminating against blacks.
You're missing listen, your filter is fucked up.
No, you're
hearing, hold on. You didn't hear the part where if that child had not been refused, there would be no St. Jude. God took that negative and turned it into the largest positive possible.
And he stopped at that one.
What's that?
And he stopped at St. Jude and let all the other hospitals get away with doing exactly what St. Jude was doing.
There is not a hospital in the United States that does that.
No, that ain't what I'm saying.
What hospital is turning away
you didn't hear what I said. You said that he purchased St. Jude because they were turning away black people.
One black. He did it. Well, he saw it one time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that after they turned that black person away, if he had took that same black person to another hospital, he would have been bouncing from place to place because they all would have been turning them away.
Well, he probably would not have survived. That's true. But what I'm saying is you're totally ignoring the good.
Oh,
you can what I'm saying to you is you are completely you want the world to be racist around you. That's the only explanation
I want what you're saying to be valid, because my comments are full of people that are telling me that how St. Jude was established the way you're giving. They're not seeing any information on that.
Yeah, guess what? They are really bad at search. Very, very bad at search.
I'll leave it at that.
I can't help that you have an audience full of people that really wish they were being gatekept. And the only reason they want that is so people will hand them things and they will never have to work for them.
Did you not hear Trump administration just state that white men are getting discriminated against? Are they being gatekept too?
I think that there is some, definitely.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, I don't think you are. I'm going to let you have your little laughing fit, and then I'm going to explain to you.
Hurry up. We're pushed for time. I'll give you the last word.
Oh, you mean you put me through all of those people, and you're now pressed for time?
You got the full complement of time. I got other guests. We gave you the full compliment. But go ahead, last word on you.
Well, that's fine. Look, you asked me, there are people out there that are not hiring people because they are white? I will only say this. I worked for a Chinese company, a teeth whitening company. And while I was in surgery having a colonoscopy, my manager, who is Chinese, whole company was Chinese, the one white dude, that was me. I'm off at a medical appointment. When I woke up, he had destroyed a website making $8,000 to $10,000 per day by doing something I expressly asked him not to do, told him, warned him against doing. When I got back to work the same day, freaking camera just removed from my ass, I go back to work and I got fired. And you know what the excuse was? You know why they fired me?
Why?
Because I was white and he was Chinese. If they fired him, no one would hire him again. If they fired me, I would have a job in 15 minutes. It actually took me 35, but they were true. It took me 35 minutes to go over to another location that had been offering me a job for a long time. Now, do I think that people get fired because of their race? Yes, I do. 100%. Is it because that they're white or black or Hispanic? Yes. There are bigoted people on the planet. You're never, ever going to get me to say that that isn't the case. You live in a shitty fallen world. I live in a shitty fallen world. Doesn't mean that you and I have to act that way.
I can agree with the last part. It doesn't mean you have to act that way based on what's around you. Straight talk. Appreciate you coming on.
Ding cow, you enjoy that butt play. You would have been promoted, son.
I gotta go. We'll leave the butt play part alone. Straight talk commerce, everybody. Another angry white man says I'm done in the comments. Real quick, Forever C10, thank you for the support. And in that 2016 debate that he besmirched and shit on every candidate up there, and he said Ben Carson was an okay surgeon, straight up. Trump did say that Ben Carson was just an okay surgeon. But listen, a lot of folks, I suppose, favor Trump. The comment is that if you hit him, he hits back 10 times as hard or whatever. Same thing about him saying that John McCain was not a war hero. His war heroes don't get captured. And people favored that as well. Trump says wild shit about people. And fact is, his supporters like that stuff. His supporters like that. The idea that Ben Carson was an okay surgeon is, it's patently not only false, but insulting. But his supporters like that. St. Jude's Hospital, according to Alter Ego, was founded by Danny Thomas in 1962. But did Danny found St. Jude because they wouldn't hire, or better yet, they wouldn't treat a black person, as my last caller said? I have never heard that story before. That was a new one on me. Looking in the comments, Chris Molina and Kalitos are obviously big Trump fans. Kalito says, this man is a lost raccoon and he will tap dance until his last day on earth. I'm assuming he's talking about me. And I see Chris is saying Trump 2028, which I don't get why people suggest that Trump should run in 20. I mean, look, whatever happened to the whole age thing? Trump is almost 80 now. If President Trump were to run in 2028, that means we are suggesting that President Trump's cognitive abilities and health are strong enough for him to lead this great nation until he's 87. That he has another 7 years of leadership within him. That's insane. That is insane. You don't even get 87 years granted by God. That is beyond the lifespan of the typical white male. In fact, Trump is already beyond the age lifespan of a typical white male right now. I believe it's in the 70s, in the low to mid 70s. He's already beyond that. You want to give him 7 more years? Does he look that healthy? Anyway, let me go back to the box. And I'm not even questioning how he's governing. We can have a whole debate on whether or not he's doing a good job as president, but just suggesting he's going to be viable for 7 more years is insane. You can't beat Father Time, folks. You just cannot beat Father Time. I don't care how good of a president you are. Father Time's going to catch up with you. Mike, good evening.
Good Lord. Listen, man. First of all, how are you going to have the audacity to actually speak on your own goddamn live with your black uppity ass? You want to control your live and then talk while I get this? Is crazy. Listen, if you're going to have those two back to back, you got to give the next person time to rebut.
All the fucking liberals I have on this program, I get too MAGA, you're bitching?
No. I know. I'm not saying that they should be here. I'm just saying make sure you give us time to rebut all the bullshit that that him and MAGA just said. It was some bullshit.
We gotta be fair. I don't give MAGA all the time to rebut to things that they
all the time you want.
MAGA thinks that there's tons of liberal bullshit on the program. I mean, listen, I believe in letting the guests speak. We just have. In fact, it's not common to get back-to-back MAGA on the program. So I'm happy to get MAGA coming through.
Okay, so let's be clear. He told you that he's written 7 dumbass books. And he said that race and ethnicity was not on loan applications. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he did say that.
Okay. A simple Google search will tell you it's required. It's required that your race and ethnicity, and you know why? So they can track discrimination cases. That's why it's required. And it's been there since the early 70s. He came up here and said that shit. You can just Google what I said right now. He just came up here and said that emphatically and referenced these 7 books that he's written because he's the arbiter of all this shit, and he was wrong on the first fact he stood on.
Well, I'll just say this, and I've taken out plenty of loans as a former landlord. I'm assuming I put it down because I found out that Fifth Third Bank was, I was part of a class action suit because they were giving me a higher mortgage interest rate simply because I was black. But I don't even remember putting that down. I believe you're right, though. I do believe it was there because they knew I was black. So I do believe you're right.
And if they didn't know you, and think about this, which would be even more nefarious, if they didn't get it from there, where'd they get it from?
Well, you can get it from a host of reasons. You can get it from where you live at. Usually can tell a lot about you. I mean, there's your name. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can denote if a person's black or white or whatever they are. Just simply, if they don't tell you they're black or white, you can find out what school did you go to. All kinds of shit that will lead you in the right direction.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about from a loan application. Do you think they're at the loan application going, Tim, so let's go on his Facebook. Let's see. They use information that's on the application and it's required by law. That's all I'm saying. It's required by law. That's number 1. Number 2, Dave Thomas did not buy St. Jude's because of that. He was inspired because he did see inequality with healthcare. But you know why he did it?
I've never heard this story to begin with. So go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you, Danny Thomas, he was struggling financially because he was an entertainer, right?
Okay.
He was an actor, entertainer. He was struggling financially, and he prayed to St. Jude Thaddeus that if he was able to fix his financial situation and financial struggles, he would build a shrine, or he vowed to do things from this biblical stance, and he did. Now he did, and Danny Thomas did some good things. But for him to say he walked in and he saw that a black person got refused, and he said, "God damn it, this is an outrage, and I'm gonna buy this bitch," is bullshit. That is.
I've never heard that story before, so I couldn't validate it or invalidate it. I've never heard nobody say that before.
It's just crazy. By the way, alter ego, he named Wendy's after his daughter. Wendy's.
Oh, that's that guy. That's Dave Thomas.
Yes. He named Wendy's after his daughter. So anyway, Tim, facts matter. Facts matter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So all I'm saying is,
well, Straight Talk in the comments is saying it's a different guy than that Dave Thomas, or that Dave. He said it's a different guy.
Danny Thomas was with St. Jude's Hospital. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay. But anyway, he's right. Dave Thomas was Wendy's. Danny Thomas was St. Jude's. Dave Thomas did name Wendy's after his daughter.
Yeah, that I know. I'm aware of that. I didn't know. Okay.
But Danny Thomas was an entertainer.
Okay. So what about the notion that African Americans and minorities in particular have an advantage, privilege when it comes to looking for a job?
Yeah, I mean, again, Tim, everything that he says doesn't even match the policies and the procedures and the laws we have in this country, right? Because think about this, Tim. Before civil rights, I told you this before. Every amendment in the Constitution was written for who?
Everybody but us, white men, particularly white men, not even white women, just white men.
Just white men. The Constitution was written for white men.
And in the beginning, it was only written for white men of prominence, like property owners.
Exactly. So every like the civil rights law, if discrimination was a thing before then, how come it wasn't written before then and for white men? None of these laws, none of these protections were written for white men. It was written to protect everyone else from white men.
Yeah.
All of them, every single one of them was written to protect everyone else from white men. Period.
So what about President Trump suggesting that the Civil Rights Act has been harmful to white men?
That's the mediocrity, Tim.
What do you mean?
Because here's the thing, because I told you, it's a net zero sum gain for them. It's to say black people are now getting something, they look at it as being taken from them, and they'd rather blow it all the fuck up before they allow that.
You know, I hear that all the time, such as student loans were available and healthcare was available until it became available to blacks, and as opposed to giving it to blacks, they'd rather blow it up even for whites too. I hear that a lot.
I read you the analogy from Kevin Roberts' book, and it said exactly that. Did it or did it not?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
And it's funny that Straight Talks used that analogy when you were talking about the black women that lost their jobs. If this find out to be true, I'll burn this down myself. Well, I got news for you, Straight Talk. Kevin Roberts and them have already started. They beat you to it. Because the idea is, listen, this country was never designed for everybody. We just need to be honest. The entire system wasn't designed for everybody.
But what about the notion that even though it was not designed for everybody, we are a country that has evolved to get past our awful past and make it more friendly to everybody?
Okay, so I'll answer. I'm going to answer you this way. I want you to take the Constitution and let's apply the Constitution to just water.
To water.
H2O. To just water, H2O. The Constitution was written for white men to have water. Just white men to have water.
What do you mean by that?
Just hear me out. Hear me out. I'm going to use this analogy. This is how stupid this whole thing is. Because racism is just as critical as you needing water. Racism in this country has been just as detrimental to the fact that you need water to survive. Why do I say that? Because we've had to fight just for civil rights. It's equivalent to us to survive. This country didn't want us to survive and prosper, Tim, and they never did.
Yeah.
It's like hoarding water. It's like, and now giving us a little water all of a sudden makes it unfair to white men because they don't have all the water, because they don't have all the control, because they don't have all the prosperity. Like anybody getting a little something is a bridge and a line too far for them.
Yeah, but that's not what they're suggesting. Is that we've given so much to African Americans that now it's unfair to white men.
I know what they're suggesting. I know what they're suggesting, Tim, and I'll use the same analogy. We've given you too much water because we gave you a couple thimbles of water because every stat doesn't say that we're abundant in anything. Am I right?
I hear what you. So I guess what I would ask you is, do you believe that this country is still, as we speak right now, while white men are complaining, do you think this country is still favorable to white men?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Do you believe that in 2026, America is still more favorable to white men?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And matter of fact, they're proving it by pushing back on the very little that minorities have gotten. Think about what I just said. They're pushing back on DEI. They're pushing back on diversity. They're pushing back on equity. They're pushing back on inclusion. They're pushing back on accessibility. And they don't care that it's going to hurt other marginalized people as long as it's taken away from us.
Well, someone pushing back, like Gen Z in the comments is pushing back, stating that whites are being oppressed.
Yeah. Again, a mediocre person would say that. That's a very weak, listen, the entire system was built for white men. And now because we're talking about equity and inclusion, all of a sudden they're being oppressed. Man, get the fuck out. That's some of the weakest. But you know what? Their leader, their beloved leader, I told you this other day and he doubled down on it. He took something that he didn't earn in the Nobel Peace Prize, right?
Yeah.
He physically took it.
Well, he didn't take it. She gave it to him.
But I'm saying, but he received it.
Okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Who receives a trophy that they didn't earn? He's been begging for it.
You're telling me if Tom Brady gave you a Super Bowl ring, you wouldn't take it?
I'm not a Super Bowl champion quarterback.
So you wouldn't take the ring?
No, hold on. I'm about to tell you. If he gave it to me, he would be giving me a gift, but it wouldn't say that I'm a champion.
Well, her Nobel Peace Prize, she believes that he should have received it. Okay, I mean, does she not have the right to say that?
So are you saying she can say whatever she wants? But in your analogy, you mean Tom Brady would be giving me this ring saying,
"No, yeah, that's a bad. Yeah, I made a bad analogy when you put it out that way."
yeah, he's gonna say you're the true Super Bowl champion who never played, never threw a pass, never. And now listen, he's so upset. He's telling people, well, because I didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm going to take my ball.
That's part of what we're talking about today. What do you think about that? That he stated, let me bring the letter up, because he claims that since, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant. But now I can think about what's good and proper for the United States of America. And then he goes on to say, Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we have boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. What is he getting at?
That is the biggest crock of bitch pussy shit I've ever heard. And this is our president. Since you didn't give me the thing, I'm going to take my ball and go home because I should have had. Tim, listen, this is. Oh, and by the way, man didn't mention Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday today once. He's the first president. He's the first president since it's been a federal law to not acknowledge his birthday. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. I know he don't like Juneteenth. He made it clear he don't like Juneteenth as well. He doesn't. Look, the guy don't like black holidays. I guess we're looking at.
But then everybody, but this is the same man that said he's done the most. But he's showing us you can't get in free. Like today, you had to, if you want to go to a national park today, which is normally free, you would have to pay to get in today because he changed it.
So what do you think he's doing what do you think he's saying by doing this stuff?
These are the dog whistles that he wants to all of these races, Tim. It's not even, listen. It's not hidden anymore. Anybody that's ignoring it is willfully ignoring it. I don't care what.
Well, I'll tell you something. You're someone that often speaks very similarly to you, Cal. I had him on earlier, and I asked him flat out, do you believe President Trump is a racist? And he wasn't so sure.
Well, but that's fine. And here's the thing. And maybe I'm just a lot more aggressive. He's 100% a fucking racist. And at this point, if people still support him and obfuscate all of this stuff, as the days go by, the people that still support him continue to confirm my initial feelings about him. They're all racist.
But what about this? Because Gen X is a supporter of Trump, and he's pushing back though. He says bullshit. We recognize MLK. He says we recognize MLK Day. He said I went out of my way to grab some KFC. So he bought some fried chicken in honor of MLK.
Yeah. And again, like I said, and there's a lot of Gen X's on this app. They're all racist. They're all racist, Tim.
So you believe Gen X is racist too?
I told you that. I told it. Gen X will tell you in the comments. I tell this to Gen X face every time he's on the live with me. He's a racist. He's 100% a racist.
Wow.
You know, and he'll live and die. He'll live and die by it, and that's fine. That's his choice. if that's the bigot and racist he wants to be. And I have a white friend, and Keith Haring told that joke and all that bullshit. Man, I don't listen. They're not fooling anybody but those that want to be fooled or those that are in the cult so far that they can't see straight, and that's cool.
Do you do you have the same mindset? You go with the notion, Gangsta Grandma once stated that anyone that still supports Trump at this point is a racist. Do you believe that?
I feel that strongly. You're a racist or bigoted.
What about you just want America to have a secure border, or you want to be respected worldwide? Does it have to be racism to support Trump?
Yeah, but two things can be true. You can still want all those things, but not want a racist to try to do it for you. Because let's be clear, there's nothing that he's done that's really showing us those results. He's literally attacking people that don't agree with him. He's literally, Tim, today's Martin Luther King's birthday, and the man didn't say anything.
That don't look good. That does not look good. I don't have any, because the guy claims that he's done more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln and stuff like that. But he is attacking black holidays. At the very least, that does not look good.
Listen, at the end of the day, there's nothing. You just add that to the list, to the pile of things that he's done or said that are detrimental or derogatory to minorities. Just put it on the list. Put it on the thing. There is dozens and dozens of things that he said or done going back to his history and his father and then the family that have been racist, but they tend to ignore it all. They ignore the fact that he's touched women. They ignore the fact that he's involved with these children. They ignore all these things just to say they love Trump. Now, who in their right mind would do that about someone in their life? Let me say this real quick. I was on a live the other night talking to a guy, and everything on Trump's resume, he would not accept in his own personal life. He said he would, if his wife or kids came and told him the same thing these victims have reported Trump did, he would believe them full. He would believe his wife and kids full stop. And I said, well, what? And he asked me. I said, 100%. I said, so how can you be so adamant about defending this man when he has a history of allegations that stretch back longer than
I'll answer that simply put by saying that President Trump has convinced, maybe through showing folks, maybe through some liberal failures or whatever the case may be with the Russian impeachment and things like that, Trump has been able to convince folks that most of the negative stuff said about him is not true. And they view it that way. They believe that if somebody says something negative about Trump, it's some kind of witch hunt or liberal fear mongering. So it's worked well for Trump. I'll just say it's worked well for him, but that's generally it. If you, just like with the Epstein files, I made it clear that I don't think it really matters what's in those files. If Trump says whatever comes out of those files is not true, there is no one that could convince MAGA that it's otherwise. If Trump says it's not true, but the media, let's say the FBI says Trump actually, abused a child or whatever, or the media says it, or the Justice Department. If Trump says it ain't true, they're going to believe Trump over all of those entities.
And that tells you the cognitive dissonance and cultish behavior of these people. I mean, to not believe anybody. It's crazy, especially when Pam Bondi already said he was in the files. Especially when he dispersed thousands of FBI agents to redact files. Do you know, as of Friday, Tim, they have 200 attorneys in the Department of Justice. I forgot the name of the division that are and a few of them, or several of them, are supposed to be working on the Maduro case, but they're redacting files. Did you see that?
They're redacting Maduro files?
No, they're redacting.
Oh, you mean they moved them over to Epstein?
They haven't even started on the prosecution of the trial because they're too busy redacting these files. You can look that up.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. It's obvious at this point that Trump does not want the full scope of what's in the Epstein files to come out. I think that is beyond obvious.
Why?
Well, I'll give you two sides of it. I'll give you two sides of it. When you ask why doesn't he want it to come out, the MAGA side would suggest that there are innocent individuals that might be harmed if the files in their entirety comes out. That's one way of probably defending Trump, and say that maybe other people in there that don't deserve to be painted in such a bad light or whatever. So Trump is trying to do right by good friends and associates. How do I feel about it? Look, he looks guilty as fuck, period. He looks, now we can argue, well, why didn't Biden release it or whatever the case may be or whatever, but Trump started out from day one yelling out, stop talking about Epstein. He has been secretive about this shit from day one. And now with all of the redactions and stuff going on, there's no way I'm going to pretend like somebody would be that secretive about something and they're not hiding something. So my honest opinion is he is in the files, and the files indicate he did something really bad, and he just would rather we not know about it.
No, and I agree with you 100%. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you can ask me the same question if you like. If you were accused right now, if you were accused by somebody of touching them when they were young, are there any levels that you wouldn't go to prove your innocence if you were innocent?
I would try my best to prove my innocence.
What would stop you from doing that?
I can't imagine.
The only thing that would stop you if you're adamant about truly doing that at all costs is if you just ran out of resources to do it.
Yeah, something like that.
That would be the only thing to stop you, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be time. It would just be resources, right?
Yeah.
If you ask me that, I would tell you the same thing. So if you're innocent, as narcissistic as Trump is, he has every resource at his disposal. Just the way he's deployed them to redact, he could have deployed them to release.
Yeah. You get no argument
And he's
from
not,
me. You get no.
but I want to add this. And then you can say, I want to add this. He has gone after Venezuela with no evidence. He's booming unalive people and shown no evidence. They've deported people that shouldn't have been deported. They have lied to us. They're doing all of these things with no evidence. They have millions of documents, over 5 terabytes of data. And you're spending our money to redact it because you're innocent. Now, these are the same people that are begging or telling us from the debate all about Biden. Oh, he's got dementia and he can't walk and he's drooling on himself and he peed out his ass and you guys saw it. They can tell us all of that stuff, but they can't accept what's right in front of them when it comes to Trump. That's how far gone these motherfuckers are, Tim. That's how far gone.
I don't have a pushback for that. I got to move it on Mike, but I don't have a counter argument for that because, yeah, I don't believe if Clinton or Biden or Obama, anybody else, was treating the Epstein files the same way Trump is, that MAGA would not be saying that that person appears to be guilty as fuck. I don't understand it, other than they're just blindly protecting the guy. Mike, thanks for coming through.
Lastly,
real quick.
For Greenland, real quick, Greenland. I told you this before, I'm going to say it again. And this is to straight talk or straight dumb, whatever it was. He came up on here and said that remember he talked about their weapons ain't shit?
Yeah.
That we would crush them without losing any job. Remember all that? No boots on. If we're so powerful, why are we worried about them?
Great
if
point.
We're so powerful, why are we worried about them with Greenland? Because basically we should better pick up the phone and say, don't do nothing stupid. We already got a military base there. Why do we need more if they're so weak and we're so strong?
The resources. Gotta go. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. And I agree with him. We did have straight talk up here saying that we could easily dispatch China and Russia and the might of the U.S. military. And Mike makes a good point. If we're that mighty, then why do you need to acquire Greenland to allegedly stop China or Russia? I don't have any. And by the way, both Greenland, not only both, I would say Greenland, Denmark, and the whole of NATO, they're all saying that Trump's claim that China or Russia is looking to acquire Greenland or mess with Greenland, they're all saying that's not true. They're all saying that America is a bigger threat to Greenland than Russia or China ever were. So this could be something that Trump is just making up. I'll leave it at that. I know a lot of my beloved MAGA does not want to hear that or simply put is not going to believe that. But look, we covered the Venezuelan boats being blown up in detail on this show many times over. To this day, Trump hasn't proven that. He hasn't proven that those boats were carrying drugs or in it. I mean, Trump said, look, fact is, and I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying that Trump says a lot of stuff and it comes with no proof. They're eating cats and dogs in Springfield. That was never proven. I mean, he says a lot of stuff. I mean, remember when he got arrested down in Georgia and he gave his mugshot parameters, how much he weighed and how that wasn't true. I mean, he said that insane asylums and prisons south of the border are being empty and they're sending the people here. Have you seen any evidence of that? Most of the immigrants coming from Mexico are rapists and murderers. Where's the evidence? So when Trump says this stuff, there is a certain segment of us that just take it as fact. I'm not dispelling it as false, but what I am going to go on record and say there's no proof. He says a lot of stuff that comes with no proof. We could go deep in detail about many things he said about the 2020 election in regards to how Democrats were cheating in various ways. Most of that stuff came with no proof. So that's a problem. When someone throws out really wild, strong statements about other groups of people, other countries and things like that, but doesn't have to prove it. Because they are saying that Russia and China is not that big of a threat to Greenland. The people of Greenland are saying it. The people of Denmark are saying it. That Trump is making something up. So who knows? Looking in the comments here quick. I think we shouldn't allow anyone to run for any office after they are over 60 years old. I don't know about 60. 60. I think you could do it because you're not even a senior citizen at 60. You can still fly a commercial airliner, I think, until you're, 65 or something like that. 60 is a bit young because we vote for folks that we feel may relate to us. The biggest voting bloc are senior citizens. They're the most reliable to show up to vote is the folks that are in that age category. So they want to make sure that they're not voting for a 30-year-old because a 30-year-old is not going to be focused on issues governing senior citizens. They're going to probably be more focused on shit governing 30-year-olds. So I would say up to about 65, maybe even 70. Or just like when it comes to driving a car, you take some sort of cognitive test annually. And I do believe the results should be released to a wider audience than just simply having someone like Trump come up and say, I aced the test. You don't ace a cognitive test like you're getting a letter grade or something. Anyway, real quick looking in the comments, I'd be willing to go after 65, but after that, go home. I know suggesting that Trump should run in 2028 sounds insane. That's crazy. I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident one bit that Trump will still be cognitively capable of doing a full term starting in 2028. So that means from age 83 to 87. I think the love of Trump at some point can get to be ridiculous. To quote Balky from Perfect Strangers, don't be ridiculous. Anyway, looking in the comments, tap the screen, get us on up to the 170,000 mark. Trump was, what does they say? Trump scored like he did. Trump was scored like he did in college film. Well, look, Trump is, if it's up to Trump to describe what Trump did, it's going to be the best and brightest in everything. His grades are the best you could ever get. His finances, he was super wealthy when he came to office. I think that's also something that has turned out not to be true as well. So I'm going to say, regardless of how you feel about President Trump governing, one thing should be obvious. He tells a lot of tall tales. He tells tall tales quite often. So I guess to some degree, that might actually benefit him when it comes to suggesting grab him by the pussy was locker room talk. Because he does say a lot of wild shit. Maybe he didn't grab anybody. He's just making up a story. I mean, in his defense, he does say a lot of wild shit. Let me go back to the box. Trump is doing great, says Robert Kennedy. Depends on what metric you're going by. There are areas like securing the border that Trump is doing great. Economically, with the economy, he's not doing great whatsoever. Bringing down gas prices, he's not doing great. His campaign promise of ending the wars, he is not doing great. I think for MAGA, President Trump is doing great because you've changed the parameters on what you wanted to see out of Trump. Trump campaigned on giving you this, and when he got in, he offered you this, and you said, okay, well, that's great now. And you've taken your eye off what he originally promised to do for you, which was the economy, gas prices, lowering prices of groceries and inflation and things. He hasn't succeeded on any of that stuff. But you've changed to suddenly, well, what he's doing in Minnesota is great. That ain't what he campaigned on. He didn't. And by the way, what does success in Minnesota look like? 1,000 ICE agents go to Minnesota over Nick Shirley's claim that there's Somali fraud, which there does appear to be some fraud in some Somali fraud in Minnesota. But first of all, Trump is pardoning fraudsters every week. But anyway, there's Somali fraud. You send 1,000 ICE agents to Minnesota. Or better yet, 2,000 was the original number. 2,000 ICE agents were sent to Minnesota over the fraud there, which I think is about 170 people. Renee Nicole Good gets shot and killed. People start protesting. He responds by sending an additional 1,000 ICE agents. That only escalates the situation. Yeah! Jay, appreciate the hat mustache, thank you. So he responds by sending another 1,000 ICE agents. So now there's 3,000 ICE agents roaming around a town that only has a police force that is 600 strong. So there's almost 5 times more ICE than there are cops in Minneapolis. Protests get heated because people don't want cops grabbing everybody everywhere. So now he's talking about sending another 1,500 active duty military to Minneapolis. I'm asking, this is one of our topics we originally were going to talk about. Is all of this worth it to the taxpayers? Can you imagine how much it costs to have thousands of people roaming Minnesota? They're all in hotels. Most of them don't live there. So they're all staying in hotels at your expense. Likely the food, the per diem, all of that's being covered by the taxpayers. What are they trying to accomplish in Minnesota? What is the goal? What is the purpose of them being? What does success look like? When, at what level they say, okay, we've done our job here, it's time to go. What does success look like? Blue One, first Galaxy of the evening. Thank you. Absolutely appreciate that. Thank you. So what does success in Minnesota look like? I'm curious because I cannot imagine what that is, but we'll continue on with Gen X. Fuck around and find out. The ICE agent neutralized the threat to his life perfectly. I don't believe that there's a threat to it. I'll just tell you this, and hang on a second, Gen X. I'll tell you this. Based on what happened, I believe the shooting of Renee Nicole Good was justified. But I believe it was an optional shooting. I mean, it was kind of like in football, they have a free play. You hike the ball and the other team was offsides. So the referee throws a flag. Well, the quarterback already knows no matter what happens, I throw the ball downfield and it's an interception or whatever, it's going to come back. Because it's a free play, the flag's already been thrown. But if somebody catches the ball and we score, penalty decline, we get a touchdown. So it's a free play. If you drive your car towards a police officer, I don't care if you're driving at 1 or 2 miles an hour, he can shoot you. Now, he can easily get out of the way of the car. But the minute you start proceeding towards him, it's a free play. He can literally get away legally by taking your life and just simply saying the car was coming at me, my life was in danger. It's a free play, even though he easily can get out. I believe that's what happened in Minnesota. The cop had a free play, and he took the option of shooting her. I don't see that case at all, that if he had not taken her life, it would have been him. I don't buy that at all. I believe he could have easily gotten out of the way. I believe he did get out of the way, but he answered the option and took the free play. Gen X, good evening.
What's up, Tim? How was Vegas?
It was all right. The price of every damn thing out there has gotten off the fucking chain, man.
Yeah, I know. I was just there, man, a few months ago. I know.
Crazy.
I'll tell you what. I know you got me some pictures of some cocaine and hookers.
Well, I don't indulge in such activity, so I'll say I do not. So let's have a conversation. Trump is saying that Martin Luther King, the Civil Rights Act, was bad for white people. What say you?
I don't know. I'm not with Trump or MAGA no more. I'm walking away.
Bullshit.
Man, I'll tell you what. My car used to hold $100 worth of gasoline. Now the motherfucker only holds $65. Where's my $35?
What are you talking about?
It used to cost me $100 to fill my tank. Now it only costs $65, so my car only holds $65 worth of gasoline.
Why did it drop? Who are you giving credit to for that?
Good Trump, man. I'm being facetious.
Damn right you are. That's why I said bullshit immediately. So, a difficult time for white guys due to the Civil Rights Act. What say you?
I didn't see that interview off the top of my head without doing any research on it. And I like to do my research before we talk. I will say it appears to me that's not entirely accurate.
So what do you think he would say something so inaccurate for then?
Again, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a pretty strong statement. I don't know. I don't know the context. I don't know what he was saying, why he was saying it. I didn't see the interview.
Okay, well let's go back before Trump, because Charlie Kirk also said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Any idea why he was said?
Well, the Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
Explain.
All right. Well, your audience isn't going to like this, but
I'm kind of concerned because I may not like it either. But go ahead.
Don't get me wrong. Under the Jim Crow laws, shit was fucked up. It wasn't as it should be. It was very unfair to Black Americans. That being said, after all the civil rights and equality and all that shit was done, Black folks seemed to self-destruct over a period of 50 years. Back during Jim Crow, you had a nuclear family. You had two parents in the house. You had mom staying home. You had dad going out to work. Now, was everything good? No, everything wasn't perfect, but it was better than it was now in the Black communities.
First of all, I absolutely disagree that 1940s was better for Blacks than 2020, because anybody that's getting involved in some of the stuff you're saying, they're choosing to do that. I mean, I'm the perfect example. I got 3 college degrees. I didn't go down that path. I don't want to be in 1940 where I couldn't even get a college degree. So I totally disagree.
You're part of the 1%.
Yeah.
You're part of the 1%. In the
you think, wait, hold on. You think only 1%? You think only 1% of African Americans are on the straight and narrow with a college education? Think is that low?
I'd say that's being generous. Yeah.
So you think the overwhelming majority of Blacks are not college educated or on the straight and narrow?
Now, if we're talking, hold on, let me restate that.
Yes, please.
If we're talking Black males from the age of 17 to 26, 100%.
Well,
100%.
At 17, you're not going to have a college degree, period, unless you're Doogie Howser. Nobody's going to have it at 17.
I had a college degree by the time I was 21. I had my associate's.
You said 17. You didn't say 21. You said 17.
I started when I was 19.
You said 17. Not to keep quoting Winger, but she's only 17.
Okay, what I said was the age limit of 17 to 26 fits that profile. Yes.
So out of the African American community between the ages of 17 to 26, you believe that less than 1% of them have a college education?
Yes.
I don't know the numbers offhand, but I would be willing to bet you and pay like 10 to 1 that you're way the fuck off. Now, I'm not saying it's over 50% or anywhere near 100%, but 1%, you're way off. You're not even in the same universe as the truth on that. And I don't even know the numbers, and I'm going to tell you it ain't nowhere near that low.
Hold on. What's the percentage of Black Americans that have a college degree within the ages of 17 to 26?
Nobody has a degree at 17. Why do you keep bringing up 17? You can't, unless, like I said, unless you're Doogie Howser, you're not getting anything at 17.
It's scarce.
People don't even come out of high school before 17. A lot of people are 18 when they come out of high school. 17?
Well, let's put
what percentage of 17-year-old whites have a college degree? I mean, you're not going to get a college degree at 17. That's almost impossible.
No, it is impossible. It is impossible. That's not what I meant. I misspoke.
I think you probably should say between the ages.
I meant
go ahead.
Starting college at 17.
Okay.
Starting college at 17 or 18 is what I actually meant.
Okay. I would tell you that when you look at a lot of these for-profit colleges that they ended up getting rid of, they were Everest and I can't even Vatterott and somebody. They were deliberately targeting the Black community. That if DeVry, these schools were loaded with Blacks, 17 to 20, enrolling to get a degree, loaded with them. You need to go look at community colleges in Black areas. I'm from Chicago. Olive Harvey and Malcolm X. The whole enrollment is just about Black people.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah, 1% is crazy off numbers. That's not, I mean, that's like in a different universe. I mean, you're literally talking about Mars while hanging around Pluto. That's about how far off it is. Go ahead. What's your question?
Let's use those same numbers, 17 to 26, assuming they start college at 17. Is there more college enrollments among young Black men, or do they account for a higher percentage of violent crime?
That I don't know, but that's a much different perspective than 1%. I don't know what percentage of African Americans are enrolled in college between 17 and 18 or whatever. I would guess it's probably around 30, 40%. Now, in terms of violent crime, I don't think 30% of African Americans in that age category are committing violent crimes. I mean, now, that doesn't mean they're not committing some crimes. If I take the catalytic converter off your car and I'm doing that, that's not a violent crime. So
it's actually much higher.
What do you mean?
It's actually much higher. Well, the stat that all the white folks like to use is 13% of the population commits 60 to 70% of the violent crime.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's not true.
That's a Charlie Kirk stat.
That's not true.
That's Charlie Kirk saying that.
Let me tell you why that's not true. Because 13%, most of the violent crime in the Black community is committed by young Black American men between the ages of, and I think we can agree on this, 17 to 26. The majority of the violent crime.
I agree with that.
Now, you can't say it's 13% because you don't have old Black women and, Black men or there's just such a bigger demographic. I would say we're talking out of the 13%, we may see 2 to 5% that are actually committing that amount of crime.
Yeah, I would also add something else, and that is the factor and the reason a lot of this stuff, like you mentioned earlier, about since the Jim Crow era ended, the destruction of the Black family. And I think people see what's happening and don't pay attention to what caused it. Like, for instance, when welfare became available to Blacks finally, They passed a law that said you cannot qualify unless the man of the house is not living here. That played a huge role in why fathers were no longer around. But we didn't take into consideration we just paid attention. Well, the black fathers are not there. We didn't actually look into the fact that the law has a lot to do with it, such as the 13-15% argument that you're saying is wrong. The law.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, the law.
I will not fight you on that.
Yeah, and it's the same with the 13-50% argument. The law has a lot to do with why the incarceration rate for blacks is so damn high. The fines are heavier for blacks. The sentences are heavier for blacks. The policing of black neighborhoods is significantly higher than white neighborhoods, meaning you're going to net more criminals. So I'm not saying that there's not a lot of crime in black neighborhoods. I'm not excluding that. But what I'm saying is the way the system is set up, you're going to net a lot more black offenders than you are white. The system is set that way. Go ahead.
Can I raise your eyebrow?
Sure.
I agree with you 100%. And in that context, I agree that there was a serious element of systemic racism against black Americans.
Was
110 fucking %.
Past tense.
I don't think it's there anymore, Tim. I don't think it's there anymore. No. I do not believe it's still there. Back then, yes, I would fight by your side about that.
So you don't 100%. Believe the police are treating blacks any different than anybody else in modern times?
Motherfucker, when's the last time you seen a fucking black dude getting dragged into an ICE vehicle? The Mexicans got it way worse than you motherfuckers.
Well, you got to admit that ICE shit this is new to Trump. This is only in the last calendar year. You go back a year ago, ICE wasn't doing all this shit. This is something specifically to Trump. And you're right. Being brown right now is just not fucking safe due to President Trump. But that is specifically Trump doing what many appear as racist towards immigrants. That wasn't happening just a year ago.
Man, if you get a fucking convoy of ICE, roll up in the hood on a corner full of brothers with their pants sagging, they ain't gonna ask near one motherfucker for their ID. Not one.
Well, but yeah, of course, because there's not a huge influx of African Americans coming to the country illegally. They dragged us here, which was still illegal, but the laws here allowed that shit. They actually forced us to come. So in the hood, most of them people were born here.
Yeah, with the exception of in Minnesota. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Speaking of Minnesota, do you think financially all that shit is worth it? We got to be paying a fortune in tax money for what's going on there. You believe that's worth it?
That's what I voted for. Absolutely.
What is the goal there? What are they trying to accomplish?
You know how many people have been arrested? How many illegal immigrants, Somalis, South Americans, Central Americans have been arrested in the last several months?
Less than two. I believe it's less than 2,000.
It's 2,500.
Hey, you got 2,500 arrests, and you got 3,000 agents there to do it?
Yeah.
That's less than one arrest per agent.
The agents aren't there to arrest. The agents are there to provide support.
For how much money to get those 2,500 you're claiming? And I heard the number's less, but let's say 2,500. How much money are we willing to spend on that?
Well, I know this. The amount of money I'm willing to spend for the security of my home, I can't put a price on that.
So you feel what they're doing in Minnesota is making you feel, now you're in Montana, you feel safer because of this?
That's not what I said, Ken. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said the amount of money I spend on my own home security justifies my justification of what they're doing in Minnesota for the people that don't feel safe in their homes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But who was? I'm curious. Who was feeling unsafe in their homes? The Somali population was not known for committing a whole bunch of crimes in that area.
19 billion in welfare fraud? That makes costs go up. It makes everything go up. Of course people were feeling it in the pocketbook. That's on top of all the other economic shit going on.
Yeah, but the people that were committing welfare fraud, has there been confirmation that they all were illegal immigrants? Because if they're an American that just happens to be of Somali descent, then ICE ain't doing shit to them.
I don't know the numbers, so I'm not even going to speak on that. I do not know the numbers. I do know there's a whole lot of fraud going on. I know that the governor of Minnesota isn't running for re-election, which looks really bad. I know that the police chief of Minnesota said something kind of pro-ICE, that the mayor he side-eyed him, and now the mayor's taking a fucking an about spin about the whole thing, because the mayor knows he still has a political future. Tim Walz doesn't.
Yeah. I actually believe that Tim Walz's career politically might not be over. I mean, I think that the fraud, the Trump administration and the Nick Shirleys and all of them did a good job in hammering them with that. But the people of Minnesota, if I'm correct, actually really liked Tim Walz. And I think many of them still do. It's obviously a very liberal area. I'm not for certain that Tim Walz's political career is over with. I'm just going to go on record and say that. I'm not for certain of that. People Marion Barry, the former mayor of DC, may he rest in peace, was caught on video smoking crack. Yeah, he was caught on video.
Marion out your mouth. The man had a couple rocks with some hookers. Big deal.
I'm just saying, people come back. People can come back from some bad shit. I'm not certain that Tim Walz, his career is over with. I just don't feel 107 Somalis. We're talking about some fraud. Trump is pardoning fraudsters every damn day. And we're turning a blind eye to that, but focusing on the Somalis. I don't get it.
Well, Trump turns a lot of blind eyes. He turns a lot of blind eyes even to liberals.
I thought we cared about fraud.
Well, we do. Well, not necessarily fraud, but Trump turns a blind eye even to liberals. Let me give you an example. Bill Clinton missed a congressional hearing.
Right.
Hillary Clinton missed a congressional hearing.
Right.
Trump has not said one cross word about it, because I honestly believe he's not only protecting people on his side, he's protecting people on the other side that he once considered friends, that he knows they kind of.
I got a different take on that. Oh, I got a totally different take on that. Trump ain't saying shit about Bill Clinton, because if the truth about Bill Clinton come out, the truth about Trump, I believe both of them do fuck some kids together. So if we force Bill Clinton to talk, Trump is like, leave that motherfucker alone. He ain't got nothing to say. Please leave him alone. Because if Bill Clinton starts singing, you're going to find out that Trump performed some of the backup vocals.
See, I don't believe that.
No, you don't.
But let me tell you why. There's been a lot of bad shit said about Bill Clinton. Hillary, I don't know. She's a kind of evil fucking wench. She's like, she really needs to have a fucking leash put on her, dragged into a kitchen, and left in front of a loaf of bread and some sandwich meat for the rest of her life.
What the
fuck? What that woman should have done.
What the hell was that?
Bill didn't do nothing wrong to get his dick sucked in the White House. Big deal. What president hasn't? Now, do I think Bill might have fucking done some? He might have fucking boned a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old.
Oh my God.
Do I think he's a fucking deviant? No, I would have to see. I would have to see irrefutable evidence, even against Bill Clinton. And I do not like the liberals to believe that.
Yeah. I actually believe, because them two were thick as thieves back during the day when Trump was in his prime and could actually handle a few juveniles and fuck the shit up. He was hanging around Bill Clinton. They were really good friends back then. Him, Epstein, and Bill Clinton, they got all kinds of videos that they were hanging together heavy back then. We want to condemn MS-13 for who they hang around, but we're not going to condemn one pedo for hanging around another one? How do they get a different type of rules?
Let me ask you a question. You just went to Vegas.
Yeah.
You're 52 years old, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
I'm 55. Ish. If me and you were in Vegas and we picked up a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old, hot as fuck, you had a little bit of fucking cheddar, I had a little bit of cheddar, I happen to have a little pocket full of cocaine, and I said, come on, Tim, let's rock and roll with these baby girls. You know goddamn good and well you do the same thing.
Well, let me go on record as saying that all of my YouTube videos are archived, so I can't agree with that shit and have it in my archive. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'll leave it as that. But if for some reason you are in that position, I am willing to talk to you. So just call me and we'll talk about it. Anyway, I gotta move the program on. Gen X, is always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Brother, my pleasure. Hey, you got a guy that comes in. His name's Will Strout. He's a close friend of mine here in Montana. He's actually my roommate. He wants to talk to you.
Will Strout. We'll certainly make that happen if I see him in here. William Strout. Appreciate it.
You have a good day, man.
You too. Looking in the comments here, the caller is too drunk. I don't think he was drunk. Just report them for SNAP fraud. It's not that serious. Yeah, I don't know what success in Minnesota looks like. I mentioned that earlier. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish in Minnesota. My humble opinion, the goal is to piss off the libs. Fuck them liberals. We're going to flood their area and show them who's boss. That is my opinion of what's going on. In fact, that was what went on in Chicago, LA, Washington, D.C., and these other liberal cities. Portland, I believe, is another one. I'm going to show them who the fuck is boss. I don't give a damn that they don't want us here. So what? I believe that that is the goal of what went on or what's going on in Minnesota, because Trump is just going to keep escalating. Now he's talking about 1,500 active duty military. What is the goal? Okay, there's a few people. I think there was about 107, they said, Somalis involved in that fraud scheme or something like that. A few people. It's 107,000, I think, is there. It was a handful of them involved in that. You don't even hear them talking about Somalis anymore. What you're seeing now is essentially them arguing and going after white people, because that's what's mostly in the Twin Cities area. I don't see the end goal in it, other than, like I said, to piss off the libs. So we'll see what happens. But my guess is once this is done, and I see Jennifer says 75 was the number. Yeah, that sounds about somewhere around that. 107,000 Somalis are in that area, and less than 100 were involved in the fraud scheme. And most of them, I don't believe, are here illegally. Most of them are American. ICE really had no business in this. You could have sent the FBI to do that or some shit. The goal was to go around Tim Walz and Mayor Frey of Minneapolis and show them who's boss. That was the goal, and that's what the goal continues to be. But I'm still pushing that question. Is it worth it to U.S. taxpayers? Other than the fact that, yeah, spend whatever you need if it's sticking it to the liberals. Anyhow, folks, you guys know how the program is ran. We are indeed MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. Liberals are welcome on the program as well. If you favor open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, follow the program. If you're watching on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, watching on YouTube, give your boy a sub. So looking in the comments here, I don't know what I'm hitting here.